What is going on? What? It just started. Even though I hadn't started anything. Like, YouTube is definitely having a problem. Okay, well, we're back up, and I guess it's okay. When it's got those lags, sometimes it just dies. I don't know. Well, that was frustrating. Anyway, here we are. No idea what just happened there. Oh, a bunch of people are back on. All right. Here we go. Oh, what do we got going on? Oh. All right, welcome back, everybody. Well, that's 2 weeks in a row of that problem, so probably safe to assume that we have an issue with that. I just don't know what it is. So, yeah. I'm feeling a little bit cold, too. Might be drinking the cold drink with the air conditioning cranked up because the lights make it warm in theory. And, all right, who's back on? What were we talking about? Oh, first cameras. Yeah, so my old Nikon 5005 was really cool. I did all my early professional sports stuff with that. I ended up working for the newspaper with that. Did all my darkroom learning and classes and everything with that original Nikon. And then, because it was so good, I used that as my film camera forever. It's the only... that's not true. I had that one, and then it was given to me, because that question was, what did I buy? I only bought that one. We're having a connection issue again. I see it lagging. Oh, we might have a bad week. It's definitely jerky. How's the audio? Oh, now it's having problems again. I'm waiting a minute to see what happens because I feel like it's going to cut off. Although now it's smooth. Up on my monitor. All right, now it says excellent. Let's give it a minute and see what you guys think. Are we looking good? So I only ever had that Nikon, and then I got an Olympus rangefinder that was given to me. I didn't buy it, and that was actually my favorite 35 millimeter camera. That Olympus was a fixed lens, so was not interchangeable. It just had like a 28 millimeter or so, and I did street photography with that. Absolutely loved it. Loved the whole experience with the Olympus, which really led me to my collection of digital Olympuses, which I have now. So this is like my favorite camera. This is the EPL9. It's really, really cool with a lens cap on it. So this thing, lens cap lens, that's me opening it up and focusing right there. Like, it's really goofy. And then it closes up. You don't need anything. And it's just absolutely tiny. And you can take it off. I can show it to you. It is so small. This itty bitty little lens. And it's all plastic. These are very cheap. But boy, are they fun. I've got a couple. This is a 9 millimeter, or an equivalent of 18 millimeter. And then I've also got it must be a 15 millimeter, so equivalent of 30. And if you want to do like really interesting street shooting and stuff, this is actually a really, really cool way to go. And unfortunately, I don't have any way to share my images with you while I'm doing things. Oh, no card in this either, because I took it out. But it's really wide angle, and actually it looks pretty good. Like, these are M. Zuiko little lens cap lenses. They're actually got some quality to them, even though they're super goofy. So a lot of fun. I'd recommend that. If you watch the Camera Cafe, I actually have an upcoming video where I'm playing with that and doing some stuff with it, with that particular lens cap, and it's pretty cool. So something to watch, something to see what else I do, for sure. Boy, no one is talking now that we're back. Guys were quiet-ish before, but now you're super quiet. We lost too many people. I gotta... But then it was somewhere around... I could probably figure this out. Really early 2000s, I bought the Nikon D50. And... it just ended up being such an amazing camera. I don't have it anymore. My dad has it, though. But it was a really good camera, and it turned out some really just epic image quality for things. And so I really enjoyed using it. Luke is back in the saddle. I also had a Kodak CX7530. I had, in the early digital era, I ended up getting several Kodak cameras, some Nikons, tried a bunch of different things so that I could really see what I liked, what worked. I did a lot of my early digital photography with a Kodak CCD, and I still love those images. Like, I go back and I look at them and I'm like, that's pretty impressive. Oh, Patricia just got here, even though we had that whole incident of the stream stopping. So, pretty cool. And, oh my gosh, I just realized there's a self-portrait of myself that is absolutely terrible, and it's taken on that little Kodak, and it's been viewed over 25,000 times. I did not intend that picture to really be seen by anyone, let alone 25,000 times. Okay. That's just, yeah, that's great. Anyway, so it's funny the things you find. My overall photo stream has been viewed right about 120 million times, so it's a little bit much. Sorry for the chewing ice. Helps keep me awake. Patricia, what's going on? How you doing? Why is everybody so quiet? I thought the whole Olympus lens cap thing was pretty cool. I should do an episode where I compare the two lens cap lenses and do like a number of street shots with them. That'd be fun. My daughter really likes using this setup. That's her favorite camera to use. But she also uses my D90, sometimes my older Nikon, that I was talking about. So I got the D50. I'm really not sure when I got the D50, but I made this leap into the big Nikon DSLR thing, and it must have been a little bit later. I'm going through old images while we're talking, trying to figure out when it was, and I don't have a clue. But I know some of the images taken with it, but I don't think Flickr lets me search that way. So it's difficult to say. I'm just kind of hitting. Oh, I had an early Olympus as well. Wow. I've had so many cameras. That's the funny thing, is going back and looking at these old images from, there we go. I took a picture with a D50 in 2006. I feel like we'd already had it for a while. I guess I should see when it came out. Luke says, self-portrait of myself versus a self-portrait of others. Ha ha ha. Why? Luke says, yeah, why are y'all so quiet? Because it's not all about me. I see. The D50 was released in 2005 and only sold until 2006. I must have gotten it I must have gotten it in that window. It was new when I got it. I took a job right at the beginning of 2006. So this camera would only have been 9 months old. And I leapt from being pretty low income to being really high income in that window. So I would not be surprised if my reward to myself was the D50 and I just never thought about it in that way. So I bet that's why I had it at that time. But is this here waiting to see if the stream is stable? Yeah, tell me about it. Oh, so frustrating. But I do like going through and looking at the old pictures I have from old cameras. If anybody's wondering, here is a sample picture from my photo stream. So I'm on Flickr. You can go into Flickr and just look at everything, right? I have my entire life is in there in photographs. And it's kind of interesting, especially if you're into photography in any way, because, I've done it for so long that it's cool, right? It's neat being able to see my progression over hundreds of thousands of images over the years, and you can follow, kind of the story of my life through images. Patricia says, my dog had surgery last week and there is no device, no demand that can keep him from pulling his sutures out. Oh, poor baby. That is sad. I'm seriously needing this caffeine. No matter how much I have, I still a little bit dragging. Luke says, you inspired me for some caffeine. Went downstairs for a Coke. The bottle trademark was 2011. I feel like a kid collecting bottles for return. I love the reuse of durable goods. It's true. I have found Fresca bottles that are 2005 still in use. It's pretty cool. Emma says, I was just going to ask you what your favorite camera is. Thank you for sharing this information. It's really interesting. MS, if you have not watched, I have another channel called The Camera Cafe. And on that, I do camera stuff. In case that wasn't obvious. And I actually have an episode on this being my favorite camera. I absolutely love this. This Olympus is both mine and my daughter's favorite. And this is just a 16 millimeter interchangeable lens, no viewfinder. And this is how you pop out the screen. I kind of wish it didn't even pop out. Then it would be a little bit smaller and more sturdy. I have so many lenses for this. But this camera is so cute. I mean, seriously, look at this camera. And I'm not looking at it, so I'm going to wait until it pops up on something so I can see what it looks like. But it's adorable. It feels great in the hand. It takes amazing images. It's fun to use. I wish I had more controls. It does have a nice dial, but only one. And then it's got a big PASM control on top, which works fine, but it's not what I would prefer. But boy, is it's just fun. Now, it's basically the same form factor as the new Fuji XM5. The new Fuji XM5 is essentially the same form factor, and that will take all of my these white lenses back here. So I'm planning on getting one of those, hopefully, and we'll see how they stack up for use. But the XM5 is exactly the same as the one that I'm on now as far as all the stuff goes. So yeah, we will see. But what a great camera. Jorge is here. He says, hello, Scott. Hi, everyone. Camera Cafe. I'm going to track that down. Definitely would appreciate it if anyone who's interested at all in cameras went and checked out the Camera Cafe. That is a new project. Well, I mean, it's a couple years old, but it really gets quite a bit of love. Now, I really let the show linger for a long time, and that's very foolish for me because I think it's a lot more popular than this channel. So there's the episode I have about my favorite camera. Definitely worth a view. It's a different style show for the most part. And of course, I just ramble on about cameras, but you know, cameras are such a low-key topic. Everyone has an opinion, everybody likes them, and yet people don't really get upset about them, which is really nice. So it's a fun, you know, doing stuff about Nicaragua. There's a lot of like opinions, and people tend to get upset, and it can be stressful, and just sometimes it's like, oh boy, it'd be nice to have a break. But doing camera shows, like people really just chill out when it's about cameras, and it's really nice to be able to just talk about something that we find enjoyable and not worry about all the drama that can potentially happen. And why am I feeling so cold? I'm just giving up on. I've adapted too much to Nicaragua. I cannot cool down my office to keep the show going. What about you guys? What kind of cameras do you like? What do you use? What kind of photography do you do? Who's into cameras? You know, it's sad. I think cameras are one of those like really great final frontiers of just things to be passionate about in your home. It used to be, I think that, you know, people would have like a grandfather clock or pocket watches, and there's all these like little bits of careful, serious engineering and into things that people used to have. And a lot of that has fallen away, and now everything's mass produced, and it works fine, and there's reasons for it, and I'm not complaining, but cameras are one of those places where we still get to go buy something that's a mechanical and electronic marvel, and lenses are just, you know, even this really old lens, like the optics of this thing, like the engineering that goes into the optics on this, and, you know, we're going to put this up and see what happens, and, you know, the feel of the focus ring, like there's all these gears and things, and there's and the click is, you know, something special, and so much work and engineering and care goes into making one of these that it's like this bit of the human experience that we get to have that we seem to have lost. And I think it's really nice to still enjoy cameras, because I like lenses, and I like flashes, and I like lights, and I like tripods, and I like all of the stuff is fun, and then I like making images that I can then share. And so it's the whole experience is one that I find very satisfying all around, and I think so many people have ended up losing that unnecessarily. And many people just like, I don't want to have a camera. And, using your phone works. I've got this really nice, really nice iPhone, and it does an amazing job. And I enjoy doing photography with it too, but not as much. The experience just isn't the same for whatever reason. And I run like the iPhone 13 group on Flickr. That's me. So I try to promote it as a photography platform and all that, but it's, I don't know, something about it just isn't as visceral. It's way too mass produced. It's way too normal. I like that good cameras have a tendency to like become part of our personality. So like this camera, right? This is so me for whatever reason. Like I just connect with the Olympus Pen cameras. Like they fit my hand, they fit my mentality of photography. And you can see I've got a really nice peak design thing on there. And just these little things. Just, I don't know. Cameras are fun. Butta says, my favorite is the Minolta 16. Some call it a spy camera. I'm not really into photography, but I collect cameras. They are art to me. Yeah, that's a good, I'm kind of the same. Like the D3500, it's an old DSLR. And so there's a whole range of technical expertise in a DSLR that doesn't exist in a mirrorless. It's just... Some of that stuff is really cool. Emma says, yes, do the street photography. So glad your daughter enjoys photography because she can pass it on to the next generation. Yeah, she likes doing it with me. It's fun to go out and there's an episode of the show where I do there's a couple episodes where I do street photography with my daughter. I just found a photo. Oh my gosh, this takes me back. What year is this? Uploaded 2006? Is that even realistic? It is... Oh! Here's something, guys. Oh, Ben Lander says that the show is skipping. For me, it seems okay at the moment, at least. Check out the photo there. That is the hotel I was living in April of 2006 in New Jersey, in South Bound Brook, New Jersey. Wow, and you can see I was working on some certifications, and there's a big plastic bin on the bed. I didn't use luggage back then. I used big plastic bins because it was only me. I didn't travel with family, didn't travel with my wife. She worked for, and this is funny, she worked for Fujifilm. So we're recording on the Fuji. She actually worked for Fujifilm E-Systems, and she worked in Rochester, New York, and I worked for Citigroup down on Wall Street. And so I would... go home on the weekends and spend the weekends with my wife and then go and work during the week. And I'd fill the trunk with these big plastic bins. I'd put in books, laptop, all my clothes and everything, and then just put a lid on them and seal these plastic boxes and kept them in the trunk of my car. And it was the best thing. It was so organized and so clean and so easy. And I would just get the luggage cart when I got to my hotel, put the plastic bins on it, wheel it to my room. And then you could see into them. And it just worked really well. And so that was... it's funny that I stumbled on a photograph of that from so long ago. But that's what that is. There's people yelling outside my window, so I'm like, what's going on? Ben says, hola, Scott. It was great to see you out and about doing your local barrio vlogs again. Thank you. Hopefully my foot continues to get better. It's definitely not perfect. Hope you're not pushing it with your foot for the sakes of trying to get your new gear. I know new stuff. Yeah, the cameras do get me out. That is definitely true. Brent says the stream isn't streaming too well for him either. Can you please tell me more about Hacienda Iguana and where exactly it is located? Okay, how can I... show this? Emma says, yeah, the Camera Cafe. I'll check it out. Thank you. Yeah, definitely. More people subscribe to the Camera Cafe would be awesome if you're interested in this stuff. I do enjoy it a lot. It's still at 533. Need some more subscribers, so come on, guys. Camera Cafe. I recently did the Sony ZV-1 comparisons. That is these cameras right here, which I do use for a lot of things for the show. They are fun cameras, but they do have their problems. I was working on something for you guys, and now I can't remember what it was. Anybody remember what I was doing? Anybody? I feel like, Hacienda Iguana. I know about where that is. So if you're looking at Hacienda Iguana, you're looking at Playa Gigante, El Gigante, which is just southeast of Popoyo. So it's the Tola area. It's the Tola loop coming out of Rivas. So it's kind of popular because it's got the airport that never got developed there and a bunch of stuff. But it's a private area. So it's very much a fancy enclave living and pretty remote. So what can we tell you about it? I have not been there, but we know it well because everyone talks about it here. Generally, those places, not the kind of place I want to be. Sometimes they can be pretty cool. Like they can have a vibe, but quite often they end up being rather problematic. And a lot of people who go to those enclaves get that like, oh, it's going to be so nice and fancy. And then they get there and it's like, oh, it's not. It's, really bad stuff or whatever. Or nothing special compared to a lot of places. But it's, sometimes you just want to be more remote or you want to be around more expats. And then those places can work out pretty well. I've not heard of anyone going down to Iguana for quite some time. It used to be incredibly popular, but I think, when you look from even relatively current satellite images, it's so empty. How far is it from León or Managua Airport? Oh, it's far. So anytime you're in that zone, you're in the I'm intentionally remote zone. Like that's in the expat tourist zone south of populated Nicaragua. So to get there from León is almost exactly 4 hours, according to Google Maps, which is inaccurate because Google Maps doesn't know the main road. It's probably about 3.5 hours realistically. And then from Managua, it's going to be quite a bit less. Probably going to be... Oh, it says 2.5 hours to Managua, and it does know the road. So, I mean, that's not the end of the world. I'm 2.5 hours from the capital. Like, that's not bad. It's that the only thing is that it's pretty remote on its own, so there's nothing next to it. It's got Popoyo, which is a popular beach, and you can get to Rivas really quickly, which is important. Like, that's where you'd want to go there pretty commonly. And that's only... according to this, the road is terrible, and the drive to Rivas is just over an hour. Holy cow! That should be like 15 minutes if it had a real road. So that's always a problem in those kinds of places, is that you can be... No, I've not been to Rancho Santana. The only resort that I've been to is the one that's gone now, which is Puesta del Sol in the north. In Chendiga, which was similar, $450 a night to stay there. And it's cool to find those places and be like, oh, look at this isolated, super fancy place. But it's also empty and not interesting, and anyone you run into there is an expat, so it's kind of like, eh. Goob says, thank you so much. You helped me know Nicaragua without visiting it yet. Now, the cool thing from like an Hacienda Iguana is that you can get to places like San Jorge, which is the launching point for Ometepe, really quickly. I mean... Okay, over an hour, but distance-wise, it's right there. And that's pretty cool. But for me, like the amount of interest I have in the Rivas beaches is very low. I do need to go spend more time and do a bunch of filming because that is really neat. But it's so remote that it's like this can be fun for a weekend kind of thing. But I wouldn't want to live there. They're too remote. Even Pochemil, I'm glad that I didn't end up living in Pochemil, which is where we first bought a hotel, because it's just remote enough that it's like, I really feel like just doing like I want to go to a restaurant I don't normally go to. I'd like to go to the movies. I'd like to do something fun. I'd like to take public transportation. And then you're like, oh no, I live in Pochemil. I don't really have very many of those options. It's very hard. And so I'm glad we didn't end up there. Being in Las Bonitas is so nice that we're right at the city and we get all that stuff without having to be remote. It's very cool. In Digital says, not true about Rancho Santana. Which thing's not true about it? Orange Fruit says, hi, Nicaragua. Patricia says, private enclave equals good place to get scammed according to today's video. That is true. And Rancho Santana is right next to Iguana, right? Like, I don't know, 10 minutes? It's that little enclave area just outside Popoyo. Which I'm always amazed that these places are really well known, and then you look from a satellite view and you're like, that's really empty. Like, it feels like there should be so much more than there is. But if you think about it, how could there be? How big could it be? But I do expect it to be, I don't know if bigger is correct, but more densely populated. My watch is itching. In Digital, what about Rancho Santana? Everybody's very quiet all of a sudden. Oh, it is high-end and not just gringos. Oh, that's surprising. Wealthy folks. Well, that's good that's good information. I've never heard a Nicaraguan mention it before, ever. Like, it doesn't exist out here. Rivas is where the jail is. Sounds convenient if you get locked up. Yes. Well, yeah, I know that Rancho Santana is high end, but there's a fair number of people with money in like Leon and Managua and stuff, but we never hear of them going out to Rancho Santana for stuff. Definitely, it's high end. Oh, the prices at Rancho Santana are crazy. Rich people from every country. Right, but you're saying it's Nicaraguans that are there? You say not just gringos, but from every country. I mean, there's just Nicaraguans and gringos, right? What's the best Nicaraguan beer? Lado Oscura from Moro Potente? Definitely. All right, dining. I think La Finca y el Mar is their top dining, I believe. And let's see, do we have a... Is there a menu? Yes, there is. Dining menu. The elite of Nicaragua, totally secure with guards, he says. Okay. All right, steak tartare, $15. That's not terrible. Main course, ravioli de marisco. Some of this I don't even know. Langosta mac and cheese. Ooh, $28. Are these current prices? These are fine. I mean, obviously really pricey for Nicaragua, but that's not a problem. Especially as like, you're not going to do this very often unless you live there. Grilled corn, Caesar mayo, grilled fries. All right, let's go see. These are starters, main courses from the grill. Grilled beef tenderloin. Yeah. Wow. Totally approachable. What about cocktail menu? Let's see what they got. Yeah. Sucks just like everywhere else. They do a smoked Negroni. Do like that. I like to say house gin. They don't want to admit that it's Bald Monkey or whatever it's called. They have an all-day menu. Let's see what that's about. Nachos and queso, campanada y berenjena. Ooh, garden, eggplant, and vegetable caponata, tomato passata, puffed rice crackers, and herbs. That's a winner. Sandwiches, sandwich de pescado. The crispy catch of the day, garden greens, onion, avocado, lime slaw salad. Lobster roll, poached lobster remoulade, romesco, tartare sauce. I guess that'd be tartar sauce, but they wrote it as tartare. Corn, mozzarella on brioche with yuca chips. Yeah. Yeah, I know the rooms are super expensive, but this menu for at least La Finca en el Mar, maybe this is the cheap place. They got okay. No, that's fine. Waffles with rosemary honey. Oh, you had me at rosemary. This is looking pretty nice. Farm cheese omelet, American Nicaraguan. Of course, they do huevos benedictinos. That makes sense. Huevos a la flamenco. Eggs a la flamenco. What is that? What is eggs a la flamenco? You can't say it twice. That doesn't explain anything. The owners, they are in the U.S. Yeah, it's definitely a U.S.-owned place. That's for sure. Okay, so that's Finca del Mar. Let's look at the cafe. This is, much more cafe-y. La Boquita. Luke says, Bald Monkey. Did you mean Brass Monkey? That funky monkey. Yes, we all know Brass Monkey. Wood-fired pizza at La Boquita. All right. Could be good. Dining menu. We're going to check it out. Does everybody like it when I read menus, like live, do this kind of stuff? But it's keeping it interesting, right? Something different. Okay, some good-looking ensalada del Huerto. Mixed greens, roasted red onion, butternut squash, tomato, goat cheese, citrus vinaigrette. Totally. Papas Bravas. Looks like a real one. Papas Bravas here tend not to be Papas Bravas, if you know what I mean. Fried fish and shrimp spicy aioli. Nice. Corn and cheese filled empanadas and chimichurri. Wow. Ceviche. Yeah, looks good. And then pizzas. Very nice. All right. Ooh, and then they got some sushi, a small sushi menu. Hey, that's not bad. It's nice that there's a selection. La Taqueria. Let's see. Available with an all-inclusive dining package. Feels like a bad idea. Brent says, interesting trying to figure out the street addresses on listings for rentals. One, which of course I can't find right now, in Leon uses Parmalat as a landmark and Frente of a bypass X number of Varas Abajo, etc. Looked like a nice place for $200 a month. Maybe I can refine the listing later. Yeah, one of the funny things is Arriba towards the sunrise and Abajo towards the sunset. Really problematic. All right. Okay, so there's a real taqueria here. All right, so hold on. We've got Pal Antoja. Sopa de tortilla. Oh, that's not a taco. Okay. Here we go. Tacos. Pollo, res, carnitas, birria, camarón empanizado. Could be good. Camarones. See? Pescado a la plancha. Vegetariano. Pescado frito. Gobernador. Shrimp and mozzarella on golden tortilla, avocado salsa verde. And they have fish or shrimp burritos. Excellent. Quesadillas that sound okay. Buñuelos, of course. Okay. That's got a lot of potential. Okay, so the food down there is sounding pretty good. Now, rooms are going to be ridiculous last time I looked, but why not look? Let's go check. Okay, the rooms are huge, which is good, ranging from 350 to 850 square feet in the rooms. Okay, that's a pretty good size. 2 full beds, sleeps 2. Family suite. Oh gosh, I don't even want to know. Let's go reserve and see what we get. 2 adults, 2 children. Why am I afraid? Here we go. Let's just check. Why is check in and check out? What? All right. Okay, website doesn't work very well, but we're going to give it a try. Oh, for those who are wondering what about a Varus, that is at Yards. Patricia says, has anyone tried opening a really good cocktail bar? So, no. And the reason is because you can't get the ingredients, so it's kind of pointless. Do you need a liquor license for a restaurant in Nicaragua like you do in the U.S.? Yes. And if so, is a liquor license difficult to obtain? No, it's quite easy. So I've got a couple places that do have a liquor license, and one of them is well known for its cocktails. We have some of the best cocktails around, and I can tell you things we can't get. Stuff for cocktails. All the things. Lemons. Bitters, which is required obviously for cocktails. Different types of whiskey, vodka, gin, tequila, mezcal, you name it, we pretty much can't get it. We have like 2 gins, 2 vodkas, 1 rum, whiskey, all but impossible. Even getting scotch, which is the best selection of anything whiskey, we only get like 4 or 5. Tequila, 3 or 4 different things. We get Campari, we get Aperol, we get Jaeger. We can get Angostura, but it's very hard. And so like our range of both mixers and our range of core ingredients is just non-existent. And so that's one of the saddest things. That is one of the things that I most wish I had, because I am a cocktail guy. I love cocktails. I love like cocktail culture. I love super fancy everything. Like it's great, right? But and I come from Rochester, New York, one of the big cocktail cities. But here we just have nothing. So if you want cocktails, literally people drive to Guatemala and Costa Rica to get to them, which is just really, really sad, right? That's how it works, but it is how it works. I'm looking at, so you need a distiller's license, don't you? I've got recipes. So it's highly recommended that you don't attempt a distillery here. Flor de Caña has pockets that are insanely deep, and anyone who's tried a distillery has disappeared. Coincidence? Maybe, but it's not a thing that people want to try. Basically, there's a couple importers that bring things in from other places, and if it's not a thing you want to mess with, right? Could you get away with it? Potentially. But Florida Canyon basically controls all import of alcohol, and even if you are allowed to legally do importation, assume that you'll one way or another find your life in peril, and you will move out of the country at a very minimum if you try to do that. So do not. If you want to do a distillery at your house and you're like, I made some moonshine, I made like 10 bottles, no one cares. But if you're trying to actually operate a business doing that, assume it's going to get once you've been noticed and anyone is aware that you are doing it, assume that it's going to go very badly. At least that is what we've always been warned, and no one has tried it for years because of how badly it went when people tried it before. And so maybe it's just a rumor. Maybe it's just one of those things. But definitely there's big companies with deep pockets that don't do it. Is your fan making a weird noise? It sounds like there's a chicken on your desk. No, my fan, I can't even hear my fan from here. There is something that sounds like a chicken outside my window. Is that what you're hearing? There seems no good way to start a brewery, impossible to get ingredients. That's not true. I know people from the channel who started a brewery successfully in the last 6 months. It's challenging, right? Like, it's not as easy as some things. But Moro Potente started a brewery. Cerro Negro started a brewery. Those are big ones. And then there's a couple little craft places. Now, some of the craft places are pretty bad. Some are probably pretty good. I haven't had all of them. Moro Potente is fantastic. Cerro Negro is quite good, but they've been around for a while. There's another one that I can't think of their name. Edelman, I think, that looks like it's okay, but I can never find it. I've never found it sold anywhere, whereas the others are sold pretty broadly. But it's definitely way more challenging. It's not like you can just walk into a store and be like, I want, barley and hops and all the things that you would need to make beer. It will be a bit of a pain for sure. Tonya will get after you too. Well, in the case of Tonya, like Cerro Negro, which is decently big, they don't bother them at all. They even let them be sold in places that are Tonya bars. Moro Potente got much bigger, right? Way bigger than Cerro Negro. Tonya invested in them. How that went, I don't know, right? But Tonya is the major owner of Moro Potente now. So it was successful for someone in that they sold it to Tonya. That was the sound. What's outside the window? I don't know. It's some kind of bird. I have no idea. Sounds of cocorico. Cocorico. I don't know that bird, but it could be. Let's see if we can look it up. Cocorico just means flavorful coconut. Cocorico is a Brazilian children's puppet television series. Is that the word? The rufous vented chachalaca. Chachalaca. Also known as the Hortalis ruficauda. Oh my gosh, my dog is laying over there on her back. Like, she is so funny. In Trinidad and Tobago, it is known as the cocorico. Something related to this. In Venezuela, it is known as the guacharaca. Could a band book a tour there and break even? I mean, a band from here could book a tour here and break even. In what sense? Do you mean a band from where? Hey, TJ. So the challenge. So I mean, yeah, a band might be able to if you went through the right place. If you went through like Manos Productions, in Mena Productions in Managua, they might be able to book you at enough places. Sorry, I'm looking at my watch trying to figure out. I think it got dusty. I think I leaned on something and it got dirty. They might be able to book you in enough places to make it work. Oh, TJ's family all left. In Digital says, I looked into a musical festival too. Brent says, I'll be back mid next month for my second trip. I would like to make it more retirement locale scouting focused instead of just tourism stuff. What should I include in my daily activities? Sitting on the porch, watching people, yelling at them to get off your lawn. Patricia says, in the U.S., I believe we call those chickens. Yes, Patricia, it's like a chicken. It might actually be a chicken. TJ says, I've been so busy since they got here. I bet we've got a lot of people coming soon to visit. Ooh, asados and fish tacos? In what town is that? Somewhere near... Oh, no. That's on Airbnb. It's an Airbnb map. TJ did another border run yesterday. How did it go? I'm checking out hotels in Popoyo. Because I need to go down there. I need to go hang out, see some stuff. And it's really not that hard to get down there. Let's see. 2 nights, 2 hotels. Okay. There's so many hotels there. It's so much more than we have up here. Because it's so many more gringos. Casa La Aventura, Guasacate, Popoyo. That actually looks nice. Boy, I don't know. As far as activities to have, seems like, I don't know, just relaxing, right? If you're looking at retired activities, you really want to see if you're not doing activities, right? That's one of the biggest problems that people run into, I think, is when they want to test places out, they have a tendency to go out and try to do things. More things than you would normally do. Of course, you do some things. Like, if you're going to be at a place that's like, okay, Friday night, we're going to go to, we're going to go to Via Via, and we're going to go see a band on Friday night. Okay, great. That's something you'd probably do once you're retired. But if you're like, okay, it's another day, I'm going to go do a thing, would you do that when you're retired? A lot of people who are retired are going to have a beer, check out their local bar, go to the market, spend the day at home watching TV, nap, read a book, right? Do very relaxing stuff. Not everyone who's retired, obviously. And some people are going to be like, like Jimmy is going to be going to the bar every day while retired. But a lot of people, it's just, they're spending a lot of time at home. It all depends on you. Orange Fruit says, how many border runs should one do every year? You need to, if you're doing the border run system, you need to do it twice a year that's the minimum is going to be twice a year. And then the reasonable maximum is 4 times. It all depends on if you're doing extensions. If you do full extensions, then you only need to do it twice a year, assuming you never go anywhere. Right? If you're doing any amount of traveling, like for me, meaning we would go to the U.S. for Christmas because we're from the U.S., so lots of family, go see them for Christmas. By doing that, we only needed to do 1 border run per year because 1 was taken care of by the U.S. trip. And then in reality, I would work somewhere, like I work in Bolivia. So because I was in Bolivia, that was another border run I didn't have to do because by going to work in Bolivia, it reset. Same thing, I work in Belize. Every time I go there, it resets. So what we found was in 4 years of being on the border run system, we had to do a border run 1 time. So it's for normal people, there's some amount of travel that you will do that will eliminate the need for a border run. But if you're here and never going anywhere and just doing that, then 4 times if you're not bothering with extensions and 2 times if you are. And that's about it. And it's generally pretty easy. TJ says, got there pretty early. There were 3 people in total in line, and that was leaving Nicaragua. So that's nice and fast and easy. In Digital says, Bertha's was one of my favorites. Is that Bertha's in Las Pinitas? Because they have famous fish up there. Hey guys, I'm going to step away for just a minute. I'm just going to grab a real quick snack while we're here. We've been on for about 3 hours. So talk amongst yourselves, ask some questions, and I'll be back in just a minute. And if anyone new pops in, make sure you just say hi and say we'll be right back in just a minute. Because I don't have any busy screen to put up because I don't know. I'm being lazy about it. We'll be right back. I'll be just a minute. Boy, these dogs are funny. You guys just stay there. I am here. Don't worry. I slammed down a little bit of pasta while I was gone. Paul says, please talk about the tourist visa and entry process. So if you're coming from most places, United States, Canada, Western Europe, and so forth, the tourist visa is automatic. There's nothing to do. Entry process is automatic. Just come in and you're good to go. So it's very, very easy. You just show up and enter the country. You get 90 days while you're there, and then you can extend for 90 more days. And then at the end of that, you can do a border run and do the whole thing again. And the border runs are so quick and easy. So many people are like, oh, I don't want to do border runs. But when you actually do them, it's like, oh, that is really, really simple. Just, drive to the border, go over, come right back. It's all in a few hours, and then you're just done. And it's like, oh, okay, well, that was actually no big deal. AFK stream. I should advertise that as a thing. trying to find hotels in the Popoyo area. That would be cool. Use that VIP salon in Managua Airport. Yeah, definitely. It's very good. But yeah, I mean, for coming in with the visa and stuff, it's that simple. It's so easy under normal circumstances. There's just nothing to know about, right? Just Nicaragua's all about just show up. In Digital says, Las Bonitas is awesome. It is awesome. That's why we live there. How about dating in Nica? Yep. I never know what to say about it. Can you date in Nicaragua? Yes, you can. Patricia says, I have cheese curds. I guarantee they're better than whatever snack Scott is getting. I do have some really amazing garlic basil Prairie Jack cheese. Prairie Jack. I don't know what it is, but it was. We had some last night. We've got quite a bit left. It is really good. And basil cheese, I would have been like, that sounds okay. No, excellent. Really, really good. TJ says all of his family use the VIP. Indigenous says, is that Sandino airport still open? Which Sandino airport? I'm going to say no. I don't think any Sandino airport is open. Oh, wait. Do you mean the main Sandino in Managua? Yeah, Managua airport's still open. Orange Fruit says, are there sandbars in Nicaragua like the ones in Brasic? Do you mean in Brazil? Brasic is one letter on the keyboard away from Brazil, so I'm going to guess. Oh no, my awesome keyboard has lost part of its L. Look how sad that is. This is a really expensive keyboard that should not be having letters wear off already. I realize that I'm brutal on these things, but holy cow. How is that letter wearing off? That's just awful. This whole thing needs clean too. Bewars the Nicas, lol. It sounds like pirates. We must bewars the Nicas. Oh. Marcella should be here soon. Hold on, I'm checking to see if someone picked up his wallet. If you get the full extension, how many years and border runs can you do? There's no official number on this, so we can only tell you what we've seen, which is, Luke, the letter L, because I was writing your name a lot. Orange Fruit, are there sandbars in Nicaragua? Not really, a little bit here and there, but not very much. So the full extensions, so you basically get 6 months. I've never heard of anyone getting less than a year and a half, and I've heard of people getting, some people claim over 10 years. There's a lot of variables that go into it, so everybody, and time when it happens, who you talk to, which office you're at, everything is a factor. So you pretty much just have to accept that it's likely to give you at least a few, and depending on other factors, it may be a ton, and you just won't know. Indigenous says Esmeralda. So Esmeralda, to the best of my knowledge, never really closed, or did, but just briefly. It's been open, but it's only for private flights. So unless you have your own pilots and stuff, it's completely useless. It has not taken any flights from anywhere useful that you can use in as long as I've known it. And I was here when it was being built. So it was a neat idea, but there's so little traffic out there. It's such a remote area. The idea of flying out there is kind of crazy because it's the middle of nowhere. Leon has a city airport that's fully operational. We showed it yesterday, I think, on the show. And that is not open for commercial traffic. But we have 300,000 people in the city and 2 quite busy beaches right by the airport. You'd think have a lot more traffic than Esmeralda does. I get that they're super rich down there, but it seems weird. Little flies coming in because of the nighttime. So I'm really surprised that they built that down there and didn't do something with Leon. But right now, Managua is the only Bluefield and the Corn Islands are the only functional airports that you can actually use in the country. James says border run gets 90 days. Extensions can be done in Leon, potentially. If you've got to go to Managua for a day to get extension, why not just do a border run? Yes, if you need to go to Managua, you may want to do the border run. That's some people consider it. Managua is definitely a huge pain. Luke says second power out, second time, 2-second power out in Managua. Boy, I had to read that a lot to get something very simple. Indigenous says Leon Airport, cool. Yeah, it's I show it all the time because it's right in Sutiava. It's very close to me. Leon Airport. If you watch my show about the Sutiava, it is complaining about the bitrate. We may be getting a little bit of lag. If you go from, I'm sorry. If you're watching the video about the Sutiava terminal update, which I think is yesterday. It is possible that, my gosh, my brain is not working because I'm reading all these different things. Yes, Luke is probably right. The power out in Managua may be creating lag here. There could be a problem with the equipment there in Managua. And yes, I'm seeing lag as well. But I think you guys can hear me. If you watch the Sutiava terminal update, you can see the airport. I show the armed guard at the airport, and he says hello on the show. That's where it is. It's a very basic airport, but it's right in Leon. It is inside the city in Sutiava. And so it's a really nice spot to come use for that. So, yeah, pretty cool. I would say worth... if they could get it open, it would be really worth using. But it's not open, right? Like not for commercial traffic. So it's really, really unfortunate because we want to use it a lot. Time for a reset. It is true. They were telling me that they planned on making Corn Island an international airport. Do they mean with flights from San Andres? Like, that seems crazy. Why would anyone fly directly into Corn Islands? Where could they possibly fly from? James says, anyone know why pant branches or suspenders are illegal in Nicaragua? There's a guest house called Red Pepper Papollo. They seem to have done a cute job. It's very eclectic. Does anyone have a hotel that isn't going to break the bank that's cool in Papollo that they recommend? Anyone have a particular fond hotel? I'm checking Hostel World to see what we can find. Got a good number of people on. This would suck if... my kids want to go somewhere for my birthday. That would actually be kind of cool, to a trip. They were talking about going to Managua, but I bet there's enough food in Papollo to go there. Papollo Republic. Oh, that's very cheap. Don't wear camo in Nicaragua. Seriously, don't wear camo anywhere outside the United States. That is a generally bad idea. That said, I do wear camo here, but very subtle and very little. But never travel with camo. Camo is an American thing to wear as clothing. In the rest of the world, it is generally considered not a thing to do. I am not behind a carrier grade network address translation. TJ, we're full normal IP addresses. Cocorico is the rooster sound in French. Hence why they use it in Trinidad. I forget where it is. Is it Turks and Caicos? There's a whole bunch of the region where camo is actually illegal. So it's not uncommon to hear horror stories of Americans who think that, camo is just a normal clothing option, but they are reserved for military use in several countries. Not Nicaragua, but in several countries. And no, suspenders are sold here, obviously. It's just, I don't think I mentioned it during the walkabout. Somebody mentioned, why don't I use them? I do wear suspenders here when I'm wearing a suit, not when I'm walking around in my shorts. No, this hotel is not looking like it's going to do it. Nope. Papoyo Republic looks cute. Price is great, but not what I'm looking for. Casitas Pacific. All right. Do you know what they're listed on? I should say what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a place that's not going to break the bank, but will have room for my kids with me. Okay, here's their direct website. We're going to check it out. I'm going to send you guys a link so you can follow along. Oh, TJ, because you're on Claro. Casitas Pacific, boutique hotel and restaurant, life on the beach, where locals and travelers unite. Some say the real highlight here is the food. Oh, well, that's sounding good. Wait, where's your food menu? Come on. Restaurant. There we go. Nope. Their restaurant just goes to some information and then tells you to book now. Every page, book now, but I want to see a menu. They don't have one. All right, let's see what they're going to cost. What do we think? Here we're doing some days in March. Oh, I don't like this tell us the age of your kids crap. Like, you don't need to know the age of my kids. I told you how many kids I have, that's enough. And then when you do that, it completely messes up their calendar system. Well, that's just... All right, family room, air conditioned. This is for 2 nights, so 208. Family room 1 must be a little bit smaller, 188, $20 cheaper. Sam says connection bad. Yeah, we're going to end shortly. It's cut off. It went from bad to we're gonna boot you. OBS is throwing an error. Won't show it to me though. There we go. Come on. It's not. All right, we're gonna hold off a second, see what happens. They have a pizza oven on the beach with live music. Oh, nice. I like that. 188. Oh, here's a place 160. A place, same place, just different room. 168. It says, but that's not for the number of people. Cot on request. So this one doesn't say what the beds are like. Features a double bed, bunk bed, and air conditioning. Ugh. Yeah, 208 for 2 nights, and it's just a double bed and bunk bed? That's not great. Like, even a queen is pretty rough, but a double? Like, why do doubles even exist? Like, no hotel is so small that they can't put in a queen. Like, come on. Look at all the trophies Scott got. I wish places would just show rooms and not force you to, like, tell us how many people are coming and then try to come up with a way to make it work. Yeah, TJ, I'm on OBS, and it's really struggling sometimes. It's since going to OBS, we have these times where it just cuts off. Okay, now it says it's excellent. So maybe we're back. Thing is, for me, a double bed is just not gonna cut it. I like to sprawl out. I need to sleep. The deluxe king room looks pretty nice, but connection is fine now. Matrimonio is the standard size here, though. Oh, I know. It's terrible. Deluxe king room, air conditioned. Oh, jeez. Oh, no AC. Nope, that's a fail. Okay, just a few rooms to choose from. Not a lot of choices, but yeah, it doesn't give the room prices. So like you can't just look and say, oh, well, this one, but I could get 2 of them because they're cheaper, right? Like that would work. I guess I kind of came up with it. Here we go, 2 adults. So 148, but again, it's bunk beds. Like, okay. Okay, deluxe king room, 148. So 1 room like that and 1 room with a bunk bed. That would work. It's still 300 though for 2 nights. I feel like you could probably do better. Video guest, yeah, potentially. Right, Jan says a double bed is okay for 1 person. For me. Sam says, I've seen some residencia homes in Leon for $80,000. Seems like I got the gringo price. This is why I was there, mind you. I'm sure I can find a better deal soon. Sam, do you know where you were looking? 80,000 would be like San Andreas, at the top end of San Andreas, or in the mid-range for Fatima, Residencia Fatima. That would be how big of a house? That sounds high for, I can't remember the name. It depends on the residencia. 80,000 is potentially within reason, right? If you have a modern, high-end, 3-bedroom, 2-bath with swimming pool, 80,000 is potentially on the high end. So that's not impossible. All right, I'm looking at other hotels in the area. The Ruamoko Hostel. It says it's famous. Well, you got to stay there if it's the famous one, right? Checking out the photos. Okay. It was Fatima. They were truly very nice, to be honest. Very big, 3 bedrooms, I believe. Yeah, like, so that's a really exclusive residencia. So you're going to pay a very high premium for the address, right? We figure you generally pay $20,000, $30,000 just to say it's Fatima. So those are very expensive for Nicaragua. Now, do you get nice stuff? Is it a great area? Yes. So, right, it could be well worth it. I know a lot of people really like Fatima. People fight to get in there. So it could be okay. But you're going to get less than you're going to get in other areas. So if you're finding a place for 80,000 in Fatima, chances are you could get the same place in Veracruz for 60. Now, do they have the same places? Are they as close? Is it the nice streets? Right. But there's a reason why a lot of us don't live in Fatima as well. It's a little bit farther out from things. It's kind of a pain to deal with, so it's not always all it's cracked up to be. It's not terrible. I've walked downtown from Fatima, so that's okay. But in general, it's it's an option. Okay, wait. I think TJ's saying that Fatima is infamous. Edwin says, new update from the Pista Héroes de la Insurrección, sections 1 y 4, construcción. Genial. Everyone is very nice there and accommodating, pretty Western, but you know, cash is king in Nicaragua. Make a deal, be flexible. Oh, I seem to have lost my hostel world that I was... Shoot! They are making the Mirati Metro bus station at Fernando Vélez País Hospital. El Zuman and Recreo also new... There's a new ciclovia! Oh, that's very cool. A new smart traffic lights at Vélez País. Inatec main headquarters at El Zuman. Ah, very cool. There's a beautiful ciclovia in Cochabamba, Bolivia, that I really enjoyed. That was very, very cool. I walked all through the city on that. That'd be great if that went through the middle of the city, and we had something like that. I heard voices. I think La Marcelita may be here. But it's hard to say. Can $30,000 get me a middle-class home in León? $30,000 can get you middle class, Nicaraguan middle class, right? So let's be clear, not what Americans would call middle class, but definitely what Nicaraguans would call middle class. Middle class will start in the mid-20s. So you're looking at, quite often when we're looking at these kinds of places, you're looking at places like Casa León, and without going to custom build, as long as you're getting what they build, I think $32,000 is the highest end place that they make, and that's generally considered middle class. Towards the high end, maybe at 26 to 32,000 house. Friends of mine, 2 doctors. They're both, late 20s and early 30s. They do better than normal doctors. Both of them are doctors who have alternative jobs that makes more money. So they do quite well. They have no kids, so they are very solidly middle class. They're going out to eat all the time. They own a nice car, way nicer than me. And they have a house in that price range. Now, they're renting. They don't own. But they're in Casa León in a 3-bedroom, so in that price range. So you would potentially be very much in and living with normal middle-class Nicaraguans in that particular location at that particular price. Very much doable. Renee says, hi, Scott. Looking at border runs from León, Chinandega, etc., Costa Rica is far. And Managua every 30 days after 90 seems burdening, not really come stay forever without worry. What are your thoughts? Nicaragua has a little bit of effort every 6 months. It just is what it is. Most things here are so easy. Border runs are really not a big deal. Costa Rica is far if you consider 4 hours far. I lived in Texas for a long time, so that's literally not close enough to get to the next city at high speed. Here, it's 4 hours away at really low speeds. So, is spending one morning twice a year. And Renee, are you? And some people really are like this, so this is a real question. Are you really never planning on traveling the whole time you're in Nicaragua? You're never going to go anywhere, or nearly never. You're going to stay in Nicaragua. You're never going to visit Panama. You're never going to visit the U.S. You're never going to visit Europe. Never going to go to South America. Never going to go to Mexico, Costa Rica, nothing like that you're ever planning on doing? Or do you plan on traveling or visiting family back wherever you're coming from, U.S., Canada, Europe, or whatever? Because that's often a very big piece of the equation. And it says, Section 4, new Carretera Norte Bridge, according to Fidel Moreno. North Bridge is 90% done. South Bridge is 70% done. It'll be finished to reroute in June, 4.5 months. Remember, they have full cover the part of the Cauce Oriental that goes underneath Carretera Norte at the east side of the big cola factory. The big cola factory. Oh, hold on. I got to let the doggy out. He knows people are here to see him, so he wants to go visit. Both doggies want to go visit. You gonna go say hi? Yeah, go say hi. Hola. Esperamos para ti en la Marcelita está aquí. And the dogs went out to get her. They're like, she has to come. So Renee, everybody when they aren't living here tends to talk about how terrible the border runs are. And basically everyone who does live here talks about how great it is. So there's a big break, for the most part, for people between the impression of a border run and the reality of a border run. So TJ just did it. Now, he did it from Granada, so he's a bit closer. But I do it from Leon, or I used to do it from Leon, and it's completely trivial in my mind. Like, it's so not a thing. Yes, you got to book the morning, but book the morning twice a year? That's so nothing. Necesitas una silla es en la otra. Oh, what was that, Mia? Snorting at us. Edwin says, so Managua City workers can keep working on the lower part of the bridge when the cars, buses, and trucks go over it. Oh, cool. All right, we're pretty zoomed in. We're probably going to have to change that in a second. Actually, I'm going to go change that right now while we're setting up some chairs. Oh, I hit the light. Oh no, it doesn't fit. There we go. Casi. I know.
Es la pata aquí.
Oh, it's mis zapatos. Aquí. Hold on, folks. Oh.
Uy, perdón.
Está bien. Bueno, un momento. Este es un problema. Aquí. Hay espacio suficiente ahora. Ok. Es arriba. Lo siento. Oh. Ok. Un poco mejor. Look who's here. It is la Marcelita.
Hola. Tarde.
Yeah. It is el perrito, lo siento. Under what name is the ciclovia known in the U.S.? We don't really have ciclovias in the U.S., but we would call them bicycle paths. But they tend to be a bit different here, in just worldwide in Latin America or whatever. They tend to be a lot more organized and more like bicycle roads. Whereas in the U.S., they tend to just be a little bit on the side. In digital is, yay!
¿Dónde?
Es para ti. Oh, puedes mover. Eso. Yes. Sonido perfecto. Oh, you guys can see the microphone now a little bit. We'll move it just a little bit so it's really on screen. There we go. I ordered a new holder for this. It should be coming from Amazon, so that will be hopefully interesting soon. And of course, there the stream is having problems, so we're lagging again. That's just great. Always lag. Renee, traveling, yes, seems better just to do border run every 90 days than 3 additional trips to Managua, 1 day instead of 3. So it depends where you're living in the country, what you're doing. We, a lot of people find that they're able to do local extensions, in which case it's beyond easy and you would never consider doing a border run instead. But if you're stuck doing the Managua ones, then yes, you're going to want to probably do the border runs instead. So that's... Edwin says, yes. Okay, bicycle path. So I can say it perfectly in English. It could be a bicycle path if it's dedicated. Sometimes we say bicycle lane if it's just on the side of the road and just like paint separating it. You can pick them up. The little, all the dogs are here. Aw, his nose is on the show. It's Sonoris. Oh, yes, you're the pretty dog. You're the pretty dog. They're so happy. Luke dice, hola, Marcelita.
Hola.
So, Renee, so the thing is like, so for me, when I go to Bolivia, when I go to Belize, when I go to the U.S., when I go to Mexico, like, and sometimes we just go to Costa Rica, right? And then that just it is a border run, I guess. But we go to Costa Rica and it's like, I feel like a weekend of food. And so we just go down to Costa Rica with the kids and hang out and do some stuff. Or like we're supposed to go down there sometime in like April just for normal life things, family visiting or whatever, to go see friends. I'm going to be out of the country soon with friends. It's just these things come up. So for some people, they like never come up and they never leave the country. And for other people, they do so often that it like never becomes a border run problem. So for us, we lean towards that. Even with the little bit of travel that we do, we don't do the huge amount we used to. But I was in... just last year, I was in Mexico. Then I was in, at some point, I was in Belize twice. There's just always something. Edwin says, in New York City, there's bicycle path on the streets of Manhattan. Yeah, that's a bicycle lane. Whereas in some towns, they have the actual full path that's separate. Like it's got its own bridges. There's no cars at all. I prefer those. They're really nice when they're just pedestrian ways, but... yeah, also in LA. Yeah, those are just lanes, as far as I know. It's been a while since I've been to either city, and my beard's a little bit flat. I leaned on it. ¿Cómo estuvo tu viaje?
Cansado.
Oh.
El tráfico.
Marcela has been with doctores todo el día.
Sí, y mañana también.
Yes, so she had to see doctors all day. Was supposed to... she was supposed to be here in Leon, had to go to Managua for a checkup, and then they didn't show up when they were supposed to at 7 a.m., and she had to wait all day in the hospital or in the clinic, in la clínica, for the doctor, and then hopped the bus here. She had an appointment with a doctor here this afternoon, which had to be canceled. Now they're meeting her at 7:30, siete media, tomorrow morning. Which is good, because then she's got to make the appointment. It didn't get canceled. It just got postponed by like 12 hours. So it's like, 15 hours, whatever. So that part's good. But it's exhausting because she's riding the buses back and forth. And she can't drive and doesn't have a car. But it didn't matter if she had a car. She can't drive. And so every time she's going back and forth, either we have to find a driver and a car for her, which is pretty bad because we don't have, like, I don't have a license. Julian is here, but he can't drive stick. The only car we have is stick. I'm the only one who can drive stick. I don't have a license. Like, the story goes on and on. That we just have no drivers and no vehicles, and it's just a huge thing. And so blah, blah, blah. So it's been really tough to get her back and forth to places that she needs to be. So there's a lot of challenge there getting to doctor's appointments and stuff. And sorry for the dog noises in the background. They are... they're excited that she's here, so they're fighting, play fighting. Luke says, live music in Managua this weekend. Música en vivo en Managua hasta fin de.
Sí, está todo en...
Sí, es en Nicaragua. Sí. Go to Nicaragua. Luke, go to Nicaragua. Nicaragua. Nicaragua.com has all the listings of places to go and things to do around the country. And so, especially Managua and Leon have coverage. Check it out, and you'll probably find something. El propio, el mamut, la fin de pasada, pero él no puede porque hay tráfico y los taxis dicen no.
Es largo.
Yeah. Off the list, drivers couldn't find the place you referred me. Él no puede ir a... oh, shoot. Where did I tell you to go? It was a good place.
¿Por dónde vive?
Managua.
¿Qué parte?
Él fue en... Es Luke.
Sí, pero ¿en qué parte de Managua?
Él caminó a el bar.
Oh.
Es super cerca. Luke, where are you staying? Are you at the Mazonte? Like, you're pretty close. Pienso que hasta el Mazonte. Es cerca Bologna.
Sí, ya sé dónde.
Ben says, hey, Scott, do you know why Managua Airport is getting so many updates now? Solar panels in the parking lots, improvements at the upper gate, AC turned on. I thought they were building new. They are building new. Progress on that is slow, though, but it needs a whole new terminal. The airport's there. Like, you can take planes at the new airport, but you can't offload people or luggage or anything. But just because they're getting new doesn't mean that they're getting rid of the old. Some people have been saying that they're moving from the old to the new, but I don't think that makes sense. Ripping out the old one would be a huge effort, and taking flights out of downtown and moving them far away is tough for a large percentage of the population. So I don't really see that being a thing per se. It's possible, but I don't think that that's really what they want to do. I think they want to keep the old one in place. I mean, inside, they've been making upgrades for a long time, and it's a pretty nice airport, and it's really convenient. So my expectation is that it's going to stay there. InDigital says, espero que estás bien.
Gracias.
Edwin says, I want to say a following question to Marcelita in Espanol. All right, Luke says there's a plug for the other channel. Lol. There's that. Wait. Oh, yeah, that's Nicaragua.com, though. That's not the channel. That's actually the website with the information. Edwin says stream is lagging and freezing. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's a really bad. Hold on.
Edwin.
Marcelita, ¿te acuerdas que cerca de la rotonda Cristo Rey, enfrente de la gasolinera Puma, hubo un club nocturno llamado Fénix? Ah, sí. Y que hace unas semanas no más fue demolido por trabajadores.
Sí.
Es un club de chicas.
Sí. Escuché que el lugar lo van a abrir en otra parte, no sé dónde.
She claims not to know where. Oh. Does she smell like Betty? Do you smell the puppy? Huh?
Mm-hmm.
¿Cómo está Betty?
Bien.
Sí.
Loca, siempre.
Yeah. No. Como Clive. We're waiting for... It's a very low bit rate right now.
Mm-hmm.
Power's good in the city. Oh, it's upside down again. Why does it always do that? Where's the dog? Oh, there's the dog. And the other. Oh, and boom. So I can actually use this as a mobile camera, which is pretty cool for the show, but it does go through the battery really fast. But it's a neat way. Okay, we get excellent connection again. Woo! It connects automatically, which uses a lot of battery, but I don't need it for anything. So I like that I can use it as like a mobile thing. We figured this out last week, but I've got to like constantly set it to not be upside down. So that's unfortunate. But I like that it does that because it's a pretty cool feature to be able to just show different angles and stuff. And we don't have a multiple input device. So that's actually wireless, sending those images into the Mac over like Bluetooth or something. Like, I don't know. It's pretty cool. All right. We're going to get back to... Oh, John Doe's here. Yes, complaining about the stream lagging. But I think we all knew. So, Luke, go check out live music. Probablemente Ronconrolas. Ronconrolas.
Ok, necesito mi celular para ver
Okay.
qué hay.
We're going to check that.
Espérame.
Okay, she's going to go check. The airport, question in Spanish, plug for the other channel, stream is lagging, echo. Renee, I watched your video on getting rid of belongings. It seems illogical to ask, but getting rid of absolutely everything seems like the sensible thing to do, considering the magnitude of all this. Yeah, in general, we got rid of basically everything. We went to just the luggage we brought down. Obviously, we brought some stuff, and there's still a few things we want to bring down in the future, and it's not perfect, but basically everyone we've ever talked to, and including ourselves, the answer is constantly, we wish we would have brought less. I don't know if that's still true with how little we did, but we've been doing this by the time we moved here, we've been living abroad for 6 years continuous. So we had already really reduced our stuff and gotten that mentality underway pretty heavily. Now, the amount of stuff we kept in storage in the United States, we wish we would have reduced by 90% before we came down easily, maybe more. So we're still regretting that. Part of that was in a panic at the last minute, so it's not entirely bad planning that accounts for that, but pretty much everyone says they bring too many things. Now, I have a lot of cameras, I have a lot of computers, and that stuff is cool and interesting, and I like having a bit of it. So, I don't regret having those things. But, and clothes, obviously you want to have enough clothes. That can be a pain. So there are things you want to have, but in general, yeah, pretty much everything. If you can't come up with an absolute reason to have it while you're on an extended permanent vacation, don't. Leave it behind. Genevieve is here. What kind of oil do restaurants tend to cook with the majority of the time? My son's allergic to peanuts and seafood, so just curious. I know Leon has peanut fields, so we'll avoid that. What about Managua? Is he so allergic to peanuts that peanut fields are a problem? I mean, there's a lot of peanuts. So we also do peanut processing here, like the big peanut packaging companies here in Leon. So yeah, peanuts everywhere. Some of my videos are me walking in peanut fields. That's definitely a thing. ¿Qué tipo de aceite para cocinar aquí es la mayoría del tiempo?
No cocino.
I know. Es verdad. Es verdad. If places that I've been, it's normally canola. But...
¿Cuál?
Canola. Es Maria in la...
Sí.
We cook with olive oil, but that's not normal. But canola is canola oil is it's a fake word anyway. It is quite common, but certainly peanut oil exists. Certainly coconut oil exists for certain types of things, and mixes exist. So you'd have to really work hard. Like if you go into restaurants, you're going to want to check with restaurants and they'd be like, no, do not ask them. Don't pretend that they could possibly know. That is not a thing. Because remember, we don't have allergies here, right? So like the concept of people being allergic to things like peanuts doesn't compute. You will not get people to understand that, and they will not be aware of cross-contamination, of peanuts being in the same facility, stuff like that. So you're going to have to check. You just walk and ask the owners, hey, can I see the oil bottle from the kitchen? And they'll show you what they have, and then you can figure it out from there. You'll have to take that extra step. And once you know places, right, you can be pretty confident and simple with it. Seafood is easy to avoid. Tons of places don't cook seafood. I assume he's not allergic to fish. That's uncommon. But other seafoods, shellfish and stuff, there is a lot of shrimp here. So if you're allergic to that, cross-contamination is potentially a risk. And just because they're like, yeah, this dish doesn't have shrimp in it, keep in mind that substitutions are common here without anyone being told. right? The one part of the kitchen may not tell another part of the kitchen won't tell a waiter won't tell anybody. That is normal. That is the expected thing. So if there's going to be substitutions, it's something you gotta watch out for. We know people who are highly allergic to shrimp and have been shrimped on accident because someone just was like, "Oh, we're out of chicken, so they use shrimp." And to Nicaraguans, that's an upgrade, and so they don't think about it. But there is shrimp allergies, right? Those shellfish allergies do exist, whereas like peanut really doesn't. Vegetable allergies is not a thing. So it'll take some diligence to be really safe. Edwin says, "De la alcaldía de Managua para dar paso a la ampliación de la pista Héroes de la Insurrección, ya que..." Scrolled.
Está hablando
Ya
de...
que en esa rotonda será un paso a desnivel y pues ese lugar ocupaba mucho espacio después.
El nightclub.
Sí, el nightclub. Renee says, like the shirt. I assume you mean mine, but maybe es tuyo.
No sé.
Edwin says, here is... Oh, the power is good there. It was obvious that there was... Oh, to give space. My name, banking for U.S. expats. I have a couple of accounts in the U.S. using an old address, no longer there since I left 2 years ago. Use one CMAR address for mailing, but have no proof of physical address. Keeping fingers crossed, I heard some bank accounts were blocked. Yes, some bank accounts randomly block people just because they like blocking you. There's no requirement whatsoever like that from the government. That is not a thing in the U.S. Any bank that gives you a hassle about that is purely looking for ways to hassle you and making excuses. And they're legally allowed to make up their own rules as long as they also follow the federal rules. So unfortunately, there's no consumer protections in the U.S., and we are all at risk of banks and businesses that just don't like us, and for any reason could happen. That's possible. Do I know people that have had that happen? One. Do I know people who have the same bank that they do and have not had it happen? Yes. So it's hard to say how much risk there is, but none of my banks have ever had a problem with it. No one's ever mentioned it, knock on wood. So hopefully everything is fine. Edwin says, if power goes out outside of my residencial, my internet connection goes offline because the antenna going offline as a result of outage. That is because you have a... What? She's like taking pictures of the desk or something. I don't know what's going on. Un foto de mi escritorio? Para la familia.
No.
Edwin, it's because they're using Wi-Fi, and so it needs power to power quite a bit. Yeah, those are anything that's Wi-Fi, internet, lots of problems. Indigital says, if you buy things on a trip to Costa Rica, is it taxed when you return? Depends what you buy. If you buy a ton of stuff, it will be. But in general, I've never heard of anyone actually buying that much. If you're buying like clothes and stuff, like no. How would they even know? It's just part of your luggage. Like take the tags off, right? Don't be obvious about it. But if you come back with a trunk full of clothes, like just make sure it's in normal stuff. You're allowed to drive back and forth between Nicaragua and Costa Rica with all your stuff. So it's, it's normal to do that. Yeah. James says, ¿Cómo está Salvador Allende Managua? Es interesante de ver. So it is. Salvador Allende is pretty cool. I think if you're, Canadian, as I know James is, it's a bit less exciting than you may be hoping for, but it's pretty, right? It's like $1 to get in per person, no big deal. Or maybe it's $1 per car. I don't know. It's not much. And because it's that, though, it's private, so it's very secure. It is very chill. It is not packed. It's easy to park. And it's got quite a lot of restaurants in one place. They're all overpriced, of course. Some are quite good. Some are not. You've got a lot of, like, street food. Oh, the bit rate is really low. We're going to give it a second. Hay problemas con.
Sí, ya vi.
I don't know what is going on tonight. We've been months without the problem. So it was like late November, early December that we had a lot of these really bad lags. And last week we cut off, but it worked fine other than the cutoff. Yeah, still waiting on it to catch up. Oh, there's the puppy. Hi. Oh, he wants to come up. Come here. Come here.
No.
Oh.
Ahí está.
Oh, here he is. He does want to come up. He just wants to come up with me. There we go.
Okay.
Oh, you guys are a mess.
Mía.
You're a mess. Hi. You're such a good dog.
No.
You're so, oh.
¿Qué pasó? Ahí está.
Shh. It's to. Her tail took my monitor out. One time she threw the monitor on the floor with her tail, so it's always a problem. Look at this little boy. He's so handsome. He's so handsome. Oh, you guys. You're crazy. It's still lagging bad. Oh. Is he playing with you? Is he playing with you? Oh, yes. You too. Well, this is good entertainment while we wait for the stuff to come back.
Ahora.
Ah, there we go. We're back. Okay. Can I put him down? Can I put him down without you attacking him? Yeah, that's his butt. Okay. Me up. Okay. Get her. Okay. So, Salvador Allende. Sorry, James. We are back. Salvador Allende has a lot of restaurants, a lot of street food kind of things. There's popcorn and stuff. It's a beautiful waterfront to walk along. It's a great place to go out on an evening and just kind of chill. If you want to go out to like a fancy dinner, you're going to spend more money. Yeah, I like it. I like the Chinese restaurant there. We need to go and explore more restaurants. We need to do some walk-arounds. Necesitamos ir para caminar y grabar todo.
Al final de la calle hay un parque, creo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that would be a good like filming a night out. We've done it, but we always had the cameras that were bad for that. Like the GoPros are just terrible. But now we have the Pocket 3, and we could do good video of that place in the evening and show, because there's a lot of restaurants to show off. We could show some menus, some stuff, like walk around. There's not a lot to do. There are some rides, so if you have kids, but again, North American kids have a tendency to not like the kind of rides and attractions that they have for the kids that are here, that are for Nicaraguan kids. And so be aware that it's very low-key things, like a little merry-go-round and a little like carnival-type rides, which are really popular here, but coming from North America are not popular. So it's a very different style of entertainment. There's lots of room to run around. It's quite pleasant. It's a neat place to go. Everyone should go once or twice, but it's unlikely to become a place you'll go to all the time. But if you want to have, like, you know, you're taking your spouse out for date night, and you want a kind of a place to go, and you just walk around and do some strolling, especially if you're from like a Mediterranean culture, like go stroll before dinner, look at a bunch of menus, kind of just settle on a place, linger with good service, high prices, good food mostly, some selection you don't get. Yeah, really nice. There's also a private boat that goes from there to an island. Have not done that. I really want to do that and film it. I think that'd be cool. I know nothing about the details. That is what Marcela is for. She can figure that out. Para el barco de Salvador Allende a la isla es perfecto para grabar. Bank accounts, taxed. They sell a lot of soy oil here. Janet says peanut is so expensive, I bet places wouldn't use it. Good to know. Yeah, I haven't seen places use it, but sometimes with the deep fryers, you don't know what you're going to get. In Digital says, interesting, no allergies. It's not actually zero allergies, but it's essentially no allergies. Allergies and things like, there's several gastrointestinal things that they're called American diseases because they are things that only exist in North America, and basically the entire world doesn't have to deal with them. Europe gets a little bit. U.S. and Canada get nearly all in the world, and like Asia, Africa, Latin America, we don't have those problems, and it's because of different diets, different food supply, and different medical advice. One of the big ones with peanuts that affected the U.S. a lot is that there was a doctor who famously published guidance on peanut allergies, and he actually had done no research whatsoever, and the thing that he said to do causes peanut allergies. And so there was a whole bunch of medical guidance in the United States based on backwards information, and because the U.S. doesn't do science for medicine and just does, in reality, witch doctory, it became a thing. Oh, our stream is slow again. So most of the world, allergies are just not a thing. Places that have tons of American tourists, though, get used to them and know what to do. But places like Nicaragua, where a kitchen may have never seen an allergy in their lives, like you could have an entire kitchen staff who combined have never come across a person with an allergy, a real allergy, before. And they'll have no idea what to do. They have no idea that it's life-threatening. They have no idea that you could actually be allergic to like normal vegetables and stuff. My wife is not actually allergic, but hiders, and it's so hard here. People do not understand what it means to even be insensitive. If he eats foods that were cross-contaminated, like chocolate or whatever, then he gets eczema. Then you're probably okay. If he's not deathly, then being able to avoid it is probably pretty doable. A lot of places don't have peanuts in the kitchen because there's no food items that are going to have it. So you're off it. Oh, there we go. Stream. Gosh. We're going to see if we can keep talking and see if the audio stays on. James says, canola, World War II lubricant for war effort. Genevieve says, OMG, they substitute chicken with shrimp without saying it to the customer. Yeah, that kind of stuff. As long as it's an upgrade, as long as it's considered an upmarket move, they will do just about anything. Like it's, we were talking about this on another channel about how the idea of, hopefully you guys can still hear me. I'm going to ask. The idea of like recreating a menu item as stated doesn't exist. People don't follow recipes. They don't, copy food. And so things like, I don't want this with no meat. They'll redefine meat in any given situation. You ask people and you say, what's meat? And they'll tell you, and then you say, okay, I want this thing without any meat. And then they'll put other meat in it. And you're like, this is still meat. And they're like, well, it's not meat. Right? It's just chicken. It's not meat. It's this. It's not meat. And you're like, 2 seconds ago, you said all those things were meat. Well, yeah, it's not meat in a sandwich. Right? And it's like, oh my gosh, there's no words for things that we need in everyday English for food in English don't exist as part of the language or consciousness in much of Spanish. And so there's really strong inabilities to communicate desires and needs within food, because to you, Genevieve, and the rest of us on the channel, to us a chicken meal is a meal with chicken, very specifically, but to a Nicaraguan it is simply a meal that often includes chicken and is similar in some way. Right, but even things like, I would like a quesadilla, it could come out as a taco because they're like, it's the same ingredients. How is it not a quesadilla? And you're like, it's not a quesadilla. Like, it's a different thing. It's like, is it like that in other Latin countries you've been to? So not to this degree. Nicaragua has so little tourism, so few expats, and is so isolated from the other Latin American countries that it's much more extreme here because they don't have any guiding force as far as like, here's what other places do. They just don't have those interactions. Most Nicaraguans can never travel outside their country. 98% of Nicaraguans will never leave the country. And those that do, maybe it's like 95%. But then of those that do, most of them only go between here and Costa Rica. And so their exposure to what the outside world does is extremely little. And so that is quite difficult. In digital format, I'm looking forward to Marcela's food channel, El Canal de la Comida de Marcela. Yes, she does not cook much. She did do repochetas for the channel.
Ensaladas.
Yeah, she makes salads. Great salads. She did that. That was just weeks before she got really sick. Like that was like 2 weeks before she got really sick. As 2 semanas antes de los problemas con tus pulmos. And for those who don't know, hold on. In Digital says SpaceX won't work there, right? I think he means Starlink. SpaceX definitely doesn't work here. We have not successfully launched any space stations from here. Starlink may work here, but you have to smuggle it in, and it officially does not work. So if there's any problems, you're completely on your own. There's no support. They could just cut you off at a moment's notice. You could get in trouble from Starlink. You could get in trouble from the government, because neither on the government side is it allowed, nor is it allowed from Starlink. It is an unlicensed electronic communication device. And so if you have one, you would have to show your license from Telcor.
Sí.
Telcor. And that's doable, right? You could go and apply for that and get it, and people have, but mostly it's Nicaraguans who get it, and it costs a lot of money, and it's not something you do trivially, and you don't want it, because why would you want Starlink here? Every time I say that, someone comes up with a really good reason why they want Starlink. Okay, you proved your point. But in general, most people think that they're solving a problem that doesn't exist, and the Starlink itself would be the problem. So normally you don't want it. But there are special cases where it's unfortunate that they don't provide service to Nicaragua, but Starlink just can bite the big one on that, because they promised it, they sold it to us, and then they took it off the market and kept the money until you went after them. But they weren't going to give the money back even after they canceled it. So we're not exactly big fans around here. Vince is here. Hey, Scott. Hey, Vince. How's it going? Larry, who is very sick, just dropped in. He says, I just dropped in. I'm under doctor's orders for bed rest. However, I can't believe how riveting it is tonight. Great guest, right? This is one of our favorite guest stars on the show. For those who don't know Larry has been in the hospital and or clinic all day. He's very sick. Él tiene una infección de pulmones. Él es super enfermo. Larry is sometimes on the show at the baseball games, as is La Marcelita. We do like baseball around here. Luke says there's too many subscribers causing lag. Yeah, that's the problem. We've finally gotten so big that the internet cannot handle it. In Digital says, Marcela, can you teach how to cook nica? Like pico de gallo, but I think he means gallo pinto. Pico de gallo, too, is a food here, but that's pretty common. You can get that in Tex-Mex. But gallo pinto is pretty unique. Pienso que no para gallo pinto. Un poco, pero pienso que es mejor para Aida.
Sí.
Yeah, okay. We're going to get Aida on the show to do that. Aida está aquí.
Sí.
Ella dice, ella va a estar en el canal cuando ella cambió y es lista
¿Ahora?
para, más o menos.
Voy a
¿sí?
preguntar.
Para salir contigo.
Aquí está.
Oh, perfect. Genevieve says she can hear and see me. Luke says the audio is great, so we're all set there. So Marcela doesn't do a lot of cooking. However, the one that you mentioned, pico de gallo, she certainly can do. Puedes hacer pico de gallo.
Sí.
Es ensalada.
Puedo.
She's very good at ensaladas. And repochetas.
Sí, otra vez.
Tenía repocheta para almorzar hoy.
Yo sé. Con gallo pinto o solo queso.
Solo queso. Porque fue simple. Con ensalada, con frijoles y crema. Y ahora quiero más. Es mejor de la pasta. Janet says, yeah, audio has been really good the whole time. Just the video had jumps here in the logs. Okay, good. Vince says, hear you fine. Orange Fruits says, are there olives in Nicaragua? I mean, there's olives like that you can buy at the store. Absolutely, right? We have olives, we have olive oil, we can make Mediterranean. They're a great selection of them. No, not as good as the U.S., not as good as Spain and Greece and Italy, but it's okay. Are they grown here? No, I am not aware of any olive trees here. Typically, olives and grapes grow at the exact same places, and we don't have grapes either. No one's making wine here. Yes, somebody made wine. But in general, no one's making wine here. No one's making olive oil here. They are not things that grow here. We're simply too warm. They grow them in Argentina. For example, Mendoza is full of olives, just like it's full of grapes. So you're going to want that. You might be able to grow them in Guatemala, maybe. I'm not sure, but I think olives really want a seasonal change that Guatemala doesn't have. So I'm not sure if Guatemala can really pull it off either. Mexico can, Argentina can, I suspect Chile can, Uruguay probably not. Maybe Paraguay, probably a little bit of Brazil, but a lot of Latin America can't do olives and grapes very well. But so look for places with famous wine regions, and generally you're going to have pretty good olive options. And Digital says, I got served iguana. Él comió iguana.
Oh, creo que yo nunca tengo.
¿Nunca?
No.
Es mejor. People don't generally like iguana a whole lot, but Nicaragua a number of years ago did a big push to convince people an attempt to convince people to eat iguana instead of chickens, because iguana requires fewer natural resources and is indigenous. So chickens we have to bring in and do stuff, but iguanas are just everywhere. You're hungry, just go look on your roof, there'll be an iguana. Now I'm vegetarian, I don't eat either. But a lot of people did not like iguana. It's definitely not as easy to deal with as chicken, but they are roughly the same size, very similar in a lot of ways. So a lot of people eat iguana. If you're on the highway, sometimes you'll see people selling cooked iguana or uncooked iguana on the side of the road. Yeah. John Blair is here. Hey, completely hypothetical question. Gotcha, John. Let's say we have an economic crash of some sort. Oh, no, it's actually a hypothetical question. Crash of some sort. I was waiting for so if you robbed a bank and you needed to hide out in another country. Oh, that's not what he was asking. If you have an economic crash of some sort here in the States, how would you rank living in Nicaragua for a hedge as compared to some other countries? I would put it solidly in the middle, right? There's going to be places that are way more hedgy than that. I'm going to guess for Latin America, let's guess places like Bolivia, Brazil, maybe Chile, Paraguay probably to some degree, Peru to quite some degree. They're going to be very hedgy. And then you got middle countries, places like Colombia and Venezuela and Nicaragua, Guatemala to some degree. Those countries are going to be in the middle ground where they'll be impacted because they have much stronger ties to the U.S., but they have large, powerful economies that are relatively disconnected. And then you've got places like Mexico and Costa Rica and Panama who will feel it directly. That's Latin America. I think a lot of Southeast Asia will fare pretty well. Southwest Asia will not even notice probably in most cases. Central Asia won't notice. Europe obviously will mostly feel some pretty big impacts, but not necessarily. They may or may not, depending on how things go. And then much of Africa will be isolated. So it's a lot of the world will have really good hedges. I think here we're decent, and one of the things that's important here, though, is that we are both water and food sovereign. We do not require any outside supply of building materials, food, or water. So we can completely survive if the rest of the world goes into a zombie apocalypse and we're able to somehow hold them off at the Costa Rican border and at the Honduran border. We're okay. We're going to lose variety. We're going to have to ramp up a lot of production of things, but we would be okay, and we're one of only a few countries in the world that is expected to be able to maintain that for the next several decades. So that's a really big deal. There's some places that produce more food than they eat, but they don't produce enough variety of food to supplement a diet. We are both a surplus provider of food and a large variety supplier of food. So everything from beef and shrimp and fish and sugar and peanuts. Now Genevieve may want to reconsider this as her if that apocalypse happens and there may be peanuts may be a very important calorie source, then she'll be sorry. But there's a lot of foods are being produced in very large quantity here, and we'd be quite okay. But certainly there's places that would be even more of a hedge against complete collapse. Everyone will feel something, but you know what I mean. Orange says, John, escaping MAGA. Indigenous says she can bring in chefs. She can. ¿Cómo se dice? Host. Puedes host un canal y programa para comida. Y as
Quizás.
sí, buenos días, Marcelita. En vivo, cada mañana.
Pues.
She is kind of prepared to do a morning show. You can see the Marcelita morning show and showing people cooking food and doing some gardening stuff and very, very like a home magazine. Una revista de la casa en vivo. Es un tipo de programa.
Yo sé.
Para ti, sí. Little tiny flies because of the lights. Es mosquitas. Porque la luz es super brillante. You can see the hair light when she leans back. It's like, because she's suddenly getting the hair light on her face. Es para tu pelo, no para la cara. Is espresso popular? No, definitely not popular. Does it exist? Yeah, obviously. So like if you go to Dr. Coffee, which is the best coffee shop, as far as I'm concerned, I think in León, in Western Nicaragua, but it's here in Sutiava. So they're pretty close. And so they have espresso machines. They know how to do espresso. They do really high-end coffee. But their highest-end coffee is pour-overs. If you're getting like cappuccinos and lattes, of course, they're using espresso. But I've never once seen someone order an espresso even there. I've never seen espressos ordered in Managua at like Molino or Mugs or Limoncello. It's just not something you ever see, but cappuccinos and lattes and things made with espresso, pretty common. So it depends on what you're looking for. But if you're just looking for espresso, you'll be able to find it without too much of a problem, but it is not popular as a thing. DA Miami Pulmon says, altogether fast. Crossius is here. Which grocery store do you buy the olives and the olive oil? Lots. That's not hard. You can definitely get them at La Colonia. You can definitely get them at La Union. We normally get them because we buy both in bulk. We buy large containers of olive oil and big jars of olives because we're kind of Mediterranean. We get them from PriceSmart, right? And you can get calmatas and different things. We can get cans of black olives, jars of green olives, calmatas, and different things. So it's pretty doable. But if you need some stuff right now, there's probably 10 or 20 different varieties of olives available at La Colonia right down the street. So it's really not a big deal. Pali this is in digital. Pali is Walmart, right? Mm-hmm. Yes, Pali is... it's specifically the Nicaraguan version of the Walmart local market, or whatever it's called in the U.S. The green one that Walmart has is Pali, and Walmart is Walmart. Like there's a Walmart here it's just like a Walmart. It's not like a super Walmart. It's just like a regular Walmart. And then Pali is just like their country market or local market. Neighborhood market, maybe that's it. It's just groceries. And then there's an in-between that the U.S. doesn't have, which is Maxi Pali, and that is the grocery store plus a tiny bit of overflow from the Walmart. And it's actually pretty nice because they have nice plates. They have nice coffee mugs. They have nice like basic stuff. They have like basic TVs and stereos, all at really good prices and very convenient with a tiny selection, but the stuff they have is okay. Microwave, like you need like those household basics. If you were moving into an apartment and you had your fridge, you had your oven, you have like that stuff, like your appliances are set, a Maxi Pali might be able to get you the rest of the way. Utensils, kitchen stuff, even some like pots and pans. The selection varies from time to time and place to place, so you can't predict it. But you can generate like all of our kitchen plates and tazas and everything, they're all from Maxi Pali because it's just cheap and nice, right? So, like, I actually consider the Pali a very important part of the Nicaraguan shopping experience, and we'll try to get more of that. And actually, that's one of the things I really want to do someday is get a new apartment and have Marcella do shopping to like outfit in an apartment completely. This is a huge project, right? So this is just but I would like to get like a barrio place, like a barrio house or a barrio apartment, something very small, very cheap, but that we can really fix up and show exactly what it costs to get a really low-cost place in a safe neighborhood, but in the barrio, and then to furnish it completely in a comfortable enough but kind of acceptable to expats, but also Nika style place, and everything with furnishings and decorations and plates and all that, and show the real prices, the real shopping experience as we go through the whole thing and get it, and that way people can be like, I think it'd be really interesting. It'd be interesting for me to be like, what would this look like? What would this whole process be? And then of course you can adjust it for your own needs. And we've done that stuff because we've furnished apartments before, but we never filmed the whole process and like made it a thing. So that would be an interesting thing to do. A self-sustainable is rare. Nika is one. Yeah. My name says I like vigaron. I can't eat that, vegetarian. Brent says, seems like you guys are getting a little more rain than is typical for this season. What's the outlook on the effects of climate change on the country and region relative to other parts of the world? Mostly our climate change here is expected to be pretty minor. We're very resilient to change, but obviously things are or seem to be changing, so it's very hard to say what the long-term prospects are going to be like, but certainly things are changing. Boy, I just noticed that Marcela gets on the show and there's like so much more conversation. When it's just me, it's like there's nothing, but cuando estás aquí es mucho más conversación. It's super engaged. ¿Cómo se dice engaged? No sé.
Okay.
A dozen eggs cost $9 in the U.S. ¿Cuánto cuesta un 12 de huevos aquí?
La docena. Como 80 y algo.
80? Okay, so...
Menos de 100.
Sí.
Menos de 100. Porque la cajilla grande cuesta 180.
180 para 30. Okay, so here it's 180, which is $4.50 for 30 eggs. So it's about $2 a dozen. That sounds about right. We're going to burning out my phone really fast with Okay, and I'm gonna bring up a calculator. So okay, 180. My 30. So it is 6 quart. I could have done this math in my head. It's 6 Cordoba per egg, and so that is so 12 times 6. So if you're buying them the way we buy them here, it comes out to 72 cord per dozen. And that comes out to $1.95 per dozen U.S. roughly. Could be $1.96 depending on. Well, it just will not focus on that. It won't do it. $1.95. And we bought eggs today, right? Like we buy so many. Grosia says, I am Greek, that's why I'm asking. Aha, I used to live on Crete. It's one of my favorite places in the world. Larry says, I had the best coffee ever 2 weeks at Bavaro. I think he means Barbaro. Remember, in Nicaragua, B's and V's are interchangeable. Barbaro, I like Dr. Coffee as well. You had the best coffee ever at Barbaro? I only know that that's where it is because I know we went there. I would not have even thought to order coffee there. They have really good French silk or a chocolate mousse when they have it. Paul is here to say hello to Marcella. And this says bad Walmart. DA Miami, I was trying to help with lungs. Oh, pulmonales. Pulmones, not pulmones. 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 See. I can't even read the English equivalents. Sam says, I was so surprised to see so many Chinese nationals living and doing business in Nicaragua. You know, it's amazing how many people say that to me, and I never see any. Like here in Leon, like you just don't run into them. But I know in Managua you see quite a few. Esteli you see quite a few. But remember, we're very friendly with China. So and China's a huge country. China's investing big here. Nicaragua's investing big there, and we have direct shipping between here and China. So for the Chinese to be here makes quite a bit of sense. There's so many Chinese businesses popping up because they do like here in Leon. Even though we don't ever see Chinese nationals, not really. The giant factory here is a Chinese factory. So that employs easily, I'm guessing, thousands of people. They have buses that run through the city. Yazaki.
Necesito salir.
Ah, sí, okay. Okay. Yazaki is so big that the plant runs buses all throughout the city to take people to and from the factory during the day. So it's absolutely fantastic. They do such a great job taking care of the people in the area and employing so many, and whole neighborhoods have cropped up around them. So there's a reason why there's a lot of Chinese investment here, for sure. Bad Walmart, so surprised. Cool idea. Brent says, I was super happy having heard the best coffee was exported. The coffee was so-so, etc. I don't think the best coffee is necessarily exported. It's just that we don't have a lot of great roasting here. Be back. Okay, Janet, that is not where you get the $1.95 eggs, though, just so you know. Brent says, I'll be your test monkey for Marcella's rental outfitting project. Ooh. Test monkey. That funky monkey. We got a lot of monkeys going on tonight. Indigenous says, you beat her like roosters if you live rural. You better like roosters. Yeah. Oh, Russians?
I know.
Roosters. Rooskies? I mean, you have a lot of roosters if you live rural. But I have not seen very many Russians in the country. I saw some the other day, but they were from Russia and not here. They were just visiting for the day. Oh, and we're going to lose the stream. Super problemas.
Ok, me voy.
Okay.
Give me 5.
Very good. Give me 5. And a hot dog.
Un conflay.
And conflay. Conflay. Cereal is conflay.
Ok, bye.
Quizás quiero un poco de pizza. De Padrino.
Ok, entonces.
See? Oh, my dogs are back. Being crazy. Okay. Sí, yo sé. ¿Cuándo van a salir?
Ahora.
¿Ahora? Okay, ¿cuánto? Hay un poco allí, pero... All right. Hold on, guys, while the stream is doing its thing. We gotta figure out how to move this chair, too. Yazaki has 4,000 to 5,000 employees. I bought coffee when I arrived for Super Bowl. I ordered coffee with milk. I was shocked as well. Oh, cool. All right, hold on, guys. Wow, 4,000 to 5,000, that's a lot. I mean, I knew it was a lot. Like, you really notice in the city, but holy cow. All right, hold on. I will not be long, I hope. Little dog. All right, looks like the stream did not die, so that's a good sign. We're going to move some lights around. We're going to get rid of this chair because we don't need it anymore. That's really in the way. So, oh, we lost some people. Always losing people. The stragglers disappear when we're doing this. All right. Gotta adjust the light. Bring this light over. And let's see, how's the camera? That's fine. All right, cool. All right. Marcella is doing tech support. Yep. She's pizza support, I hope. She and Ida are running off to El Padrino because they need to go see friends who are performing there tonight, and they are getting dinner there, so they are hanging out. And with Marcella's cancer, it's really important that she get out to do things when she can, as much as she can, because she has very little opportunity to feel well enough to go do things. So she'll be in chemo again on Monday, so she has just 4 days left. Boy, that seems like it's caught right up to us. So every 2 weeks on Monday, she does chemo, at least that's the current schedule, and she's going to be doing this for months. And then right after she does the chemo, she actually feels okay. So we're hoping to change some of the schedule because she needs to get back here because she lives here in Leon. She needs to come here while she's feeling okay, and then go after about 48 hours, maybe a little bit less from doing the chemo. Then she's really sick and she can't get up. She can't do anything. It's really, really rough. So it's important to get her here, and then she has people to help her convalesce, and then it's about a week of being really sick, and then she gets a bit better, which she was between probably around Tuesday. So 2 days ago, she was feeling a bit better, but then she had to go to Managua for more tests and stuff, and then she had to turn around and come straight back, and so she's here, and then, hold on. And then she's got to do her chemo on Monday, so she's got to return on Sunday and start the process over again, so it's very rough. So I put up the GoFundMe. Most of you are aware, and I should have done this when we were busier and when she was here. I didn't realize she was going to leave so soon. But so we're trying to raise a bit of money to help her with her cancer treatments. And her, like I always say, her medical treatments are free. She's in the public healthcare system. They're taking care of her from that perspective. But there's a ton of she still has her job, but she no longer is able to take care of her own kids. So she has to pay family to watch her kids and feed her kids. And she has to pay people to clean her house and watch her house and transport back and forth to Managua constantly because she lives here. She doesn't have a home in Managua anymore, and things like that. So it's not a ton, but this is going to go on for 2 years. So it's really important that she have a bit of a nest egg that helps her with those things. So a certain amount has come in total. About 2,400 has come in so far, which is unbelievable. So thank you so much to everyone, and it keeps coming in on a regular basis. It's slowly trickling in, but at a rate that if this rate is maintained, she will have enough to get through the 2 years. So we know it'll slow down. Obviously, initially quite a bit came in, 1,000 on the first day, but really she needs to maintain a rate of about $200 a month to supplement what she makes. And it seems like that's going to be enough to probably get her through. Her kids had to change school and a lot of things because she has to do the cancer treatments in Managua, but it was almost fully moved to Leon when this all happened. So that was really really terrible timing that she was not completely done with her move when she got hospitalized. And so her one house got stuck for a long time. Everything got moved. Some stuff got stolen because there was no one there to watch the movers. Not that the movers took it, but just the whole situation caused problems. And so It was not terrible. It's there's just a lot. And she doesn't need a ton of help, but a total of 5,000 is what we're trying to be raising. Luke says not to be exploitive, but maybe a thank you shout out from Marcella's kids for the assistance up to date might pull a bit more heartstrings for new donations and affirmation for prior donations. That is not a bad idea. So we did the cancer treatment video, which if you go to the GoFundMe link, that is part of the YouTube channel that you can watch there, where we sit down and talk about what her situation was. That's several weeks ago. But doing a follow-up now, I think it'll be good to do another treatment. And once we do that and see how that's going, having her and the kids on and do a follow-up would be really good and give people kind of a where she is now. Because it's encouraging, right? Like, it seems like the chemo is working. And of course, a big expense is she needs wigs. Right now, it's still her hair, but she's losing it quickly, as is expected. So that's important. But yeah, a follow-up video would be really good, because most, I think it seems like, this is a really tough situation, and of course it is. But there's also this really big positive with this, that the chemo seems to be working. Her lungs are still functioning. She's getting the care that she needs. She is responding to the chemo, as far as we know. She is not crippled by the chemo, but she does go through these long bouts of being unable to do anything, and then combined with bits of time where she's feeling pretty well. So we were out 2 nights ago at the Simple, and we got some video of her enjoying the Tuesday night out. We're going to try to get her out Saturday. Actually, so tonight she's going out without me being there. She and Ida are going out to Padrino, which is very low key. It's a pizza shop, right? But they're going to a pizza place where some friends are playing in the band, so they're going to sit there and watch them. I guess that's not really energetic. And then tomorrow night, same thing. We're going to go to Via Via and record the band that is playing there. And then, which again, pretty low key, right? Just sitting at a table watching a band. And then Saturday night, the plan is to go to the Simple again, because the Simple is having another big party. They're starting. So we've been doing the Tuesday Booze Days for quite a bit of time, close to a year. And it's become a huge thing. And the group that assists from Leon in that has asked that be extended to do Saturdays as well. And so a Saturday event is starting in 2 days, and hopefully I'm going to be out there to see how it goes, and raise some awareness of it and such. So that is... So in some ways, she gets to go out and do things, and we're all working really hard to make sure she has every opportunity to go out and enjoy life as much as she can, because there's every possibility there's going to be a very long time in which she can't, and any semblance of normalcy that we're able to provide is a pretty big deal. And she's going through a lot of depression, of course, because she's scared that the treatments will not work. She's been through quite a few that have not, and her kids are little, and certainly... It is a very scary thing being a single mother, and she's constantly terrified that her children will be left without her. John says, considering that so many Nicaraguans pursued economic opportunities in the U.S., is Nicaragua at risk of a demographic collapse? I just noticed in a lot of the streets in Granada not seeing any children. So Granada, I think you never really see children because... it's a tourist town, and it's just not a place to raise kids. Obviously, there are kids in Granada. They're in the barrios. In most of Nicaragua, I think you're going to see quite a lot of kids. If you're coming here to Leon, they're all over the place. Go to Managua, they're all over the place. Nicaragua is still growing demographically from everything that we've seen. What it is losing, or has lost in the past, this has stopped, is people who are of working age buying houses. So even though the population is staying pretty steady with a very small growth, there is a lot of kids living with grandparents and people who would maybe live with them, or maybe be at that age where they're considering buying their own house or getting their own apartment, not doing so because they're trying to move abroad. And so the housing situation is one thing. and the demographic is another. So we see houses empty because they're not as much in use, but we still see kids most of the country. And most of the people who are going to the United States have kids here and then go or come back and have kids. They're the number that are taking their kids with them or raising their kids abroad is pretty low. So I have a friend who's in North Dakota. She has a kid who's probably 7 or 8. And she left him with family, and she went to work in the oil fields. She doesn't work in the oil fields. She works at a Twin Peaks, but she works at the Twin Peaks servicing the oil fields. And before you ask, no, not a waitress working in the kitchen. But like those things are normal. And leaving your kids behind and going at that working age, because she's a late 20s, very common. And now we're seeing those people mostly look at returning, and we've been seeing really high rates of return already because Nicaraguans tend to be pretty unhappy when they get out of Nicaragua and realize what the world is like on the outside and realize they've been sold maybe a bill of goods that doesn't really match up to what they end up finding. So Nicaraguans have a tendency to return quite often, and now with things the way that they are, we're expecting a large number to be returning in the near future, so that will definitely eliminate any concern that there might be a demographic horizon being reached. We really are in a people have a lot of kids. Keep in mind that people tend to have kids here in their teenage years, which are not the years at which people are moving to another country. Any new rumors on the canal? Nope, no canal. Not even close, nothing. Are they still trying to go to the U.S.? No. As far as I know, nobody is trying to go to the U.S. at this point. Even in Nicaragua, finally, the word has gotten here that there isn't a path forward in the United States. And that's been the biggest challenge for a long time, is that no matter what the U.S. says in the U.S., here, the message from the U.S. has been unlimited jobs, free healthcare, bright future, just show up, no risks. And so people have gone in swarms, and then they find out. And then they come back, and people are like, no, I don't believe you. You had a bad experience, but the U.S. is saying it's good. It's definitely good. And then they go, they find out the same thing, and the cycle continues because there's so much media pushing that message that people haven't believed it. But now there's so much media about how bad things are. There's so much media about what's happening with the expats that go up there to visit and so forth, that to work or whatever, that people are starting to believe it. And they're seeing lots of family return and be like, I never made any money. I went up, I spent a fortune, there was no jobs, and I got kicked out, and now I'm back, and there's no future in doing that. And more and more people are like, oh, no, I can't do that. That doesn't work. Even Marcella, a year ago, was approved for parole and knew enough not to take it. She had applied, she wanted the option, and when the offer came, the offer was you had to leave your kids behind. They didn't offer her kids parole, only her. And she's a single mom, so she doesn't have, a partner to leave their kids with. Her mother works and so helps with the kids, but couldn't take them full time. Her sister has kids of her own, couldn't handle them. It would have been very, very, very difficult, and she knew how awful it would be leaving your kids behind. So that's something she didn't do. So she got really lucky that she was in a position where she got approved and got to make the choice. Wait, that's not a thing that makes sense. But a lot of people felt that they had to take it when they got approved, and a lot of people were trying right up until a few months ago. And but now that has changed, and now there's just more and more people going, nope, not a thing. If you want to figure out when she got parole, the first time I was filming in Belize City. So if you look at the videos of Buttonwood Bay, that's where I was when she was talking to me about having been granted parole as an option. Great. I went out of the U.S. too. Yep. So that is finally people are like, wait, Nicaragua's the place to go to, not the place to be from. Yes. Very good. We're catching on. How would the immigration effects of remittance account for 25% of the Nicaraguan GDP? So it's an interesting question, and it's a difficult one to answer because, first of all, GDP is not a good measurement of anything because it doesn't reflect anything in the real world. So it's very hard to know if anything you see related to GDP is meaningful. right? So let's say GDP in Nicaragua is artificially low, and so okay. So also, I want to point out that in theory, remittances in Nicaragua were traditionally around 10%. And then in 2017, they skyrocketed up to 15, and then something crazy happened that took them up to the 25. So 25 as a remittance rate is an extremely new thing and has all happened while I've been doing this show and is not a thing I don't think that you're going to see this huge impact. I also think that the people who are sending remittances are quite often not the ones who are impacted. There's this belief that people expat from Nicaragua and are going to go and send all this money back, right? But there is very little opportunity for someone on parole or things like that to really send that much money back. Often they're actually a drain, right? So the remittances may seem high, but if someone spends $20,000 to get to the U.S. and then sends back $10,000, they've actually sent a negative $10,000 as a result of the GDP. So that's not good, right? But it'll show up in a chart as being $20,000. So it's a much bigger number than is really there. So, there's a possibility that people are going to have an impact on remittance for sure. But I think that the majority of remittance probably comes from Americans of Nicaraguan descent who are sending money back and are not reasonably at risk for deportation. Whereas, like my friend who's there on parole, completely legal, completely documented, but she's facing deportation. We don't know the details. She's not pending deportation, but she knows it's a very real risk. She's not sending any money back, right? She doesn't make enough money to live, and she hasn't been there that long, and she only gets 2 years on parole. So all those parolees spent tons of money to get up there and have to earn enough to cover all that cost. And by the time that they've covered that cost, they're lucky if they haven't already had to return. And then it's like, oh, wait, that was not remittance positive during that time. And that's pretty much what we find everywhere. So that is one thing. There is also, and this is important to note, a ton of remittance numbers are not coming from people sending money to people personally. They are payroll numbers of foreign companies hiring Nicaraguans. And so those numbers are not affected because they're not coming from Nicaraguans abroad. They're coming from companies abroad. And that may be a lot of what we're seeing. Nicaragua is a very big boom town for things like call centers. And while the average call center may be here, a great number of them are not. And so we're very aware of a lot of companies, especially in the U.S., Canada, and possibly to some degree in Western Europe, that very heavily, hire Nicaraguans, but do so as foreign contractors. And the payment to foreign contractors in Nicaragua shows up as remittance. And so I think that's probably what we're seeing a lot more of. So I don't know how much this is actually going to be impacted. And for all we know, because it's climbing at an incredible rate, leading up to last year or so when they last measured it, there's every possibility that we're going to see that continue. We may still see increases in remittance, but we'll see. Right? There's a lot of information to be figured out there. Nicaragua is very high on the remittance list worldwide, though. Number 6 in recent years. The only places with higher remittance rates, Gambia, Nepal, Samoa, Lebanon, and Tajikistan. But just one spot lower is Honduras. 2 spots lower is El Salvador. And a bit lower, but not that far, Guatemala. Very interesting. Those rates are always interesting to see. Do you have a call center there? I might have a call center here. I think everyone has a call center here. Everyone who knows what they're doing, pretty much. Oh, I'm trying to find. There we go. There we go. Just finding the U.S. remittance rate. Very low. Very, very low. All right. Yeah, call centers here are tough, right? There's very little English. There's a lot of challenges to it, but it's also a really big thing. There's a lot of opportunity in call centers, a lot of labor arbitrage opportunities. Nicaragua is a very good employment country, very encouraging of employment. The government supports it a lot. The people understand good hard work. So it's a really good place to have staff when you can have it. It is not my largest call center. My largest call centers are in Bolivia, but Nicaragua is definitely a site to have a certain amount of stuff. If you're looking at call centers, I would recommend recommend Nicaragua as a potential place. But one of the challenges is that the pay rates for call centers now are quite high, and finding qualified workers has become harder and harder because so many of them are already in call centers. So mostly people are cannibalizing other ones. So anyone looking to start one is going to be paying a premium, and they have to steal people from other places. So you're only getting disloyal people, which is fine, right? There's no reason to be loyal to your employer if they're not treating you great. But it's all people who are jumping ship because they weren't paid great. So it's a rough market to start a new call center, and if you don't have the expertise to do it, then you're really screwed. Info on starting a call center. Well, first thing, have salespeople that can find clients. That's the most important thing. If you don't have that, you don't have a hope in the world. That's everything in call centers. If you could do that, you don't need to do anything else. You just call people like me who build call center businesses for other companies. Companies call me and say, hey, we'd like a call center. And not just in Nicaragua. We have them in Mexico, Guatemala, Nicaragua, Panama, Bolivia, Argentina, right? You can call us and say, hey, I got customers, I need a call center. And we'll say, what expertise do you need? What management structure do you need? What hours do you want this to work on? Not only do we supply the managers, the international handling of everything, staffing and all that stuff, we also have our own IT company, so all of they need support for their computers, they need custom software to do the job they're going to do. All those things are things that we do. And we own our own phone company. So all of our call centers run on our phone systems that we also provide to other call centers. So to make a call center be competitive, the skill set you have to have is really extensive, because if you're buying phone systems from someone else, you're paying double or triple what companies like we are for phones. If you right, because if you're going to like a Ring Central, you're going to anybody like that, and you're not providing your own expertise, you're not competitive. If you have to outsource your IT, if you have to outsource the training of your staff, all those things, that becomes really big. Now, if you have all those skills, and you have all those resources already, you already know everything you need to do to a call center, right? So it's very, very easy. It's just a matter of picking your niche, finding customers, and away you go. So it's it's a very, very competitive business. Every company that might use a call center has 100 call centers offering them work. So it's I think a lot of people think that call centers are a new thing, but I've been doing that for 20 years. It is not new in any way, shape, or form. This is how we have always worked. I set up my first one in the 90s, and nothing's changed, right? So it's, the only people that I have met that are being successful with call centers now, new ones, in Nicaragua are ones where they're opening their own call centers. They are their own customers, so they know that their call center is going to get the work. They know that they're going to customize all the workflow, and they're in charge of everything, and they don't have to worry about a lower price place sneaking in and taking their customers in just a moment kind of thing, right? That's one of the things that's very scary for people who are working with regular customers. You can put in $100,000 setting up a call center for someone, and they go, oh, you know what? Our owner was having drinks at the bar with his buddy, and his buddy has a friend who has a call center, and they don't actually have a call center. They're just someone who says they have a call center, but they know somebody, and so imagine how this goes, right? You can put in millions of dollars and build the best call center around, have all these skills. And all it takes is that the CEO of the company that you've worked hard to service and you've done a great job for, he goes to his country club, has drinks with some Yahoo. That Yahoo is just a sales guy, right, who's buying drinks for the CEO and goes, man, I can do a call center cheaper with more experience, blah, blah, blah. And he's not even employed. He's just a guy at the bar. And the CEO's like, I like you. Yeah, I'm going to do business with you. And he doesn't care that you are cheaper. He doesn't care that you did a better job. He doesn't care that you have a real call center and this guy doesn't. That guy will just call someone like me and be like, I need a call center tomorrow. And we'll have one. And he'll go back and be like, I got a call center. And done. Right? and suddenly he has a real call center that's working. AI will be a mess for call centers. I wonder if that's true. I mean, someday for sure. But if AI can be used for a call center, then you don't need a call center now and haven't for a really long time. I don't think that AI is going to work for call centers for quite some time because it's so bad. Right, places that have tried it end up with lawsuits because their AI ends up insulting people, lying about things, making false promises. AI is not really AI. It's large language models, and that is not going down a path where it's going to make those things work. It can sound convincing on the phone, but sounding convincing and doing the job it's supposed to do is worlds apart. And so I'm not too worried about it for a long time because the technology isn't there at all. People feel like it's going to be, but I don't think people are really thinking about how the systems actually work. Now, if you want to say, well, we have these call centers where people just want to hear a voice and they really aren't supposed to do anything, then you didn't need a call center today. Yeah, AI will disrupt that, most likely. All right, we've got some stream issues. Can I find coders in Nicaragua? Yes. Coders you can find. Not a ton, but certainly they exist. A lot of certain types of coders are here. It is the universities here teach coding. I don't think to really advanced levels. It's not a huge market here. They're very expensive here compared to other markets, so be aware that you're going to pay a premium to hire developers here in Nicaragua. So typically it's not a target place for that, but it's okay. You can definitely do it. The bigger problem that you have here is you can't find IT. The essentially complete lack of IT in Nicaragua really leaves a lot of businesses and agencies and different things very much exposed because no one knows anything about IT. People are unaware that it even exists. And in most of the world, it's one of the most core business functions. And here people are like, I've never heard of such a thing. Or they make up, oh, no, yeah, we're IT. And then it turns out they're not IT at all because they don't even know what the terms are. And so having developers or call centers here can be a very big risk because it's easy to end up in a position where there's no IT available to support those roles. And so you can imagine developers without IT are effectively useless because they can make things, but can anyone use them? If the necessary partner knowledge base, if you are putting in a call center, no one can support their computers and phones. How are you going to keep that call center working, right? So those are big important things that are hard. And since there's no university in the country that teaches IT, that's a major problem. There's no pipeline for people to even learn about the field, let alone get educated in that field. Now, of course, you don't need to go to university to work in IT. To be the best IT people, don't go to university typically, but they still need to have some introduction to the concepts of IT. They have to have somewhere that gives them a feel for what it is so they can make a decision whether they want to go research it and become an IT professional on their own or not. So that's a really big gap in Nicaragua, and we see it everywhere, even in the hotels and restaurants. No one can put in basic networking. People, like, common conversations are very difficult to have about technology and how it works because there's just awareness. And because of that lack of awareness, there's also a lack of equipment. So if you need good networking equipment, for example, they don't sell that here. Networking equipment does not exist, which is, as you can imagine, a major issue. So it can be rough, for sure. There are things that keep Nicaragua far less employed than it should be, and those things too. Yeah, infrastructure too. Nicaragua has pretty good infrastructure, but the infrastructure world needs IT people, and they're pretty much all being brought in from the outside. Now, some places like Belize that are really small, you expect that. Like, there just isn't enough people in all of Belize to have produced more than 1 or 2 IT professionals, and those people want to make good money and they move away, right? Staying in Belize when that's what you want to do doesn't work very well. But here, we have, I don't know, whatever, 20 times the size of Belize roughly. And so for us, there's enough to have people, but the lack of care and education around it has just left the market very exposed. There's a huge opportunity for someone to open an IT school, of course. That would be amazing. But very unlikely that because there's no push for it, because nobody cares, because it's not a thing that people talk about or do anything with. What's going to drive someone to be like, hey, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get out there and go into IT. No, it's maybe they're watching TV and they're like, that looks like a cool field. Why don't we do that here? I'm going to teach myself. And those resources are out there, but it's very hard. You guys have gotten pretty quiet. We have a lot of people on, but nobody's talking. Now that Marcella has left, I feel like the really interesting part of the evening is over. I'm like the sideshow. I'm just the sidekick in this situation. That's what's going on. I am thinking, given that we are getting a little bit slow and there aren't a lot of questions and I'm quite tired and Marcella has disappeared. If she was here, I'm thinking it might be wise to call it for the night. What do you guys think? We've done 5 hours or so. Like, it's respectable. It's not a long one, but we've got a number. It's definitely not a popular night. The views are relatively low, and there goes the stream again. So I think that is a really good indicator that it's problematic. So if no one has any more questions, we're going to make it. We had last week was our record week by huge amounts, right? So we're super excited about how last week went. I'm really thankful for everybody. And unfortunately, I'm very bummed by the stream ending itself at stupid times. That is really, really annoying. But beyond that, it's been good, and I really appreciate you guys. And this is just a slow week in late February. Night, Tony, thanks for being here. Night in Digital, and James and John, and I don't know who else is hanging on at this time. Larry is probably still here. Luke's still here. Janet might be in and out. Brent maybe is still here. DA Miami. My name. Crosius, Renee, Orange Fruits, Vince, Genevieve. I think that's probably just about everybody. Thanks so much, everyone. Hey, Luke is booked all week. Yeah, go watch some episodes. Let him play in the background. Whatever. Get some view times in there. That would be fantastic. And yeah, make sure you haven't missed any episodes. I guess I will see all of you guys tomorrow. And we're just going to end this here. I'm going to get some pizza. And don't forget to let people know about the GoFundMe for Marcella. And yeah,